Tonight on the Black Channel, we're going to have a bit of a sports discussion. Do they really love you? The Black Channel is live. Unapologetic, unadulterated, and absolutely uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the everlasting super fortress of intelligent black thought. We are the Black Media, and this is the Black Channel, and I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the voice of Black America, the Black Authority, broadcasting to you live from the only historically black college and university of higher education and learning in the cosmos. You are, of course, welcome to join us. And join us you shall, because on tonight's program here, we're gonna have a bit of a discussion about sports, and a lot of that's been going on here lately. However, as you know, we are always going to put this in its proper context and its proper framework in American society. For those of you who had not been following it, I certainly wasn't. So it appears the NBA championships are over. The NBA championships are over, and the Boston Celtics have won their 18th NBA title. So the Boston Celtics have won their 18th title here. And certainly there are a number of people out there. Let me go ahead and show you a little bit of what was going on there from the Associated Press. You can see it here on your screens. Out there in Boston, they were whooping it up outside the Garden. They won 106-88, or wherever in the world they were. So there they are out there in the streets. Good luck getting an ambulance here. So not too worried about that. Perfectly fine. We're just doing what we do here. Yep, no problems out here. Impromptu. Traffic lights, don't need those either. Who needs to drive around when we got important things there to do? All right, from NBC, you can see what they had here. Why fans flooded the streets of Boston to celebrate the Celtics winning their 18th NBA championship. So in Boston, where gentrification is in full swing, here come the police, but they're not coming through like shock troops here, and the media is not painting it that way. Isn't that interesting? The media is not painting this as lawlessness, bedlam, pandemonium. Folks want to show folks twerking on police cars. What in the world is this? So, okay, fine. So you see them out there in the streets, and isn't this great and happy and wonderful? Why isn't it? Isn't it? Isn't it? And I want to go ahead and get that straight there, by the way. Glad they're all where they're supposed to be. Makes perfect sense for me. By the way, does she look familiar? Not sure. We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that. And by the way, I'm pronouncing it correctly for those of you who do know your European and Irish history. It's pronounced Celtic, not Celtic. We're not going to, I do this every time they talk about Boston. Those of you who know your history understand it's actually pronounced Celtic. But of course, Americans are going to butcher everything. So they told you everybody says Celtic, but it's actually, they are the Celts. Go take a look at any documentary about Irish history, and you'll clearly hear them say the Celts. So the Celtics. I know in America, you're used to seeing that done with a K if it's really going to be hard about that, and the C if it's going to stand in for an S, but it's actually the Celtics. But don't worry, I'm not going to make a gigantic issue about it. Just, it's like Audi. You still got some people from the rap music era pronouncing it Audi. It's Audi because it comes from sound, like audio. Maybach, Rick Ross, the rapper, not the drug dealer, has forever messed that up. It's not Maybach. The man's name was Wilhelm Maybach. The CH is pronounced like a K. So anyway, etymology lesson over. But in any case, so that's what's been happening here in Boston. Why? Everything looks great. Why am I holding this broadcast tonight? Why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? Because this picture right here. This was the picture right here that I saw. This was the first thing I saw. When it first came up on my timeline, this was the picture that I saw. And I'm sure you all see the same thing that I do. Now, I recognize the jersey, I recognize the colors, I recognize the team. I knew it at a glance what I was looking at. I knew what I was looking at. And I said, isn't this interesting? See, here's my point to this right here. I want folks to remain consistent. Do you all understand me? I want folks to remain consistent. See, this is where I'm funny in this situation. This is where I'm funny about things. I'm different. I'm different about things in this regard. See, if I'm going to be a nigga, I want to be a nigga 24 hours a day. See, that's my get down. If I'm going to be a nigga, I want to be a nigga 24 hours a day. It's not, well, you a nigga when it's convenient. No. Keep that energy. That's where I come at it from. Once you go there with it, far as I'm concerned, keep that energy. Don't even think about switching up on me. Keep that energy just like that. If I was a nigga outside, if I was a nigga 10 minutes ago, I'm a nigga when the game is over too. Keep that energy. Don't be smiling at me and cheering at me and your daughters throwing their musty draws. I'm not trying to have none of that right there. If I was a nigga 10 minutes ago, I'm still one now. Don't sit up here and try to change up nothing on me. Not gonna have it. Not gonna have it. So what I'm saying is that if this is not the way that you treat these men 24 hours a day, don't sit up here and we're gonna switch it up at the 23rd hour. No. Whatever it is, it needs to stay that way. It needs to stay that way. Well, Jason, what are you talking about? Well, remember, some folks had to teach you about this a little while ago. Had to teach you about this in case you've forgotten. LeBron James, if y'all remember, LeBron had some choice words, made headlines all over the place when he was asked about Boston.
In basketball, there are fans that you go play away that they can literally take the game from you. You can feel like, damn, the fans is not going to let us win this one tonight.
Yes, I mean,
what places?
Boston.
Boston, yeah.
Why do you hate Boston?
Because they racist as That's
they
why
nasty.
they will say anything, and it's fine. I mean, it's my life. I mean, I've been dealing with it my whole life. I don't mind it. Like, I hear it. Like, if I hear somebody like close by, I check them real quick. I move on to the game. Whatever the they're gonna say whatever the they want to say. They might throw something on you. I mean, I got a beer thrown on me leaving the game.
See, I'm saying keep that damn energy. I'm saying if that's who y'all are, don't sit up here and try to switch up. Go back to talking the way you were. Go back to being what you were. No. Be what you are. That's what the hell you need to do. You need to be that. That's what you need to be. That right there. Don't sit up here and come smiling in my face later because I'm useful. No. You stay just like you are. Just like that. Y'all calling folks nigga and everything else and throwing things at people and that got a reputation for that. Okay, that needs to be what you are. That's your rep. Whenever you see black folk out there and something happens, all of a sudden people want to sit up here and tell you about, oh, what's wrong with black culture? And, oh, Caitlin Clark. Folks yelling about Caitlin Clark. And Boston has a reputation that is infamous for that kind of thing. I say Boston, but in reality, it goes way beyond Boston. Y'all remember John Sally when he was on DJ Vlad? Remember when John Sally was on DJ Vlad? Fair use, Vlad. By the way, fair use, Vlad.
Did you see the whole Russell Westbrook altercation with the fan?
Yeah.
Because I guess the guy said, like, get on your knees or something like that.
Like he used to.
Like he used to. Yeah. And Russell just lost it. Did you experience that type of
racism?
Yeah. From fans?
Yeah.
Really? What's the craziest thing someone's told you at a game?
I've been in Boston.
Ah, there you go.
So I say this. My favorite team was the Boston Celtics growing up.
Okay.
Because they were the first to hire a black coach. I can say it. That was my reason. 2, I love Bill Russell. Left-handed, block shots, and had a nice little hook shot and could run the court. And it was known as an intelligent player. He chose when to retire. I like everything about Bill Russell. The things they would say to him, and he played on a team. But I would Russell.
The things they would say to him, and he played on the team. Now, how many decades later are we? And it's exactly the same thing, and here is my only point. My only point is keep that damn energy. That's my only point. Keep that energy. That's who you are. Oh no, you're going to have to wear this. You're going to have to wear this. You're going to have to wear this. Period. Ain't going to get off it. Not going to let it go. That's what it's going to need to be.
He's right. This time, he don't have to put up with that. Not saying we did. We just were so desensitized. He's not.
How racist was Boston, the Boston Celtics crowd when you were playing? Because
Now, by the way, this video is from 3 years ago. Vlad talking about how racist were they. That's deceptive, and Vlad knows full well how the Boston fans are. But I'm going to put this in its proper context for you all before I'm done tonight.
Sensitized. He's not.
How racist was Boston, the Boston Celtics crowd when you were playing? Because I remember I interviewed Jamel Hill, and she compared the Celtics to Hitler at one point in 2008 and got suspended.
The whole column was meant to be satirical and funny, just about how the Celtics, once they got KG, Ray Allen, Rondo. I grew up in Detroit. We hated the Celtics. And as many people know, there was a racial dynamic there to hating the Celtics. There were black people who did not like the Celtics because of how they were positioned against the Lakers and the sort of racial dynamics at play that we didn't even realize were at play. So I grew up hating the team mostly because they were a rival of Detroit's.
Yeah. Because Jews hate to be reminded, or people hate to be reminded, that they gave the rights to Hitler to do what he did to people.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like that. They don't like to be reminded. They don't like anybody to go when you read something and click on it to find out the history or who's Hitler. They don't want you to be a critical thinker. They don't want you to have an opinion if it's not that coincides with their way. They don't. So the difference with going to Boston, we had to know exactly where to eat, or we had to send somebody to go get our food.
You all hear that now? This is from John Sally. This ain't somebody who played back in the 1960s or 1970s. Think about that for a few moments now.
Like it was like the 50s.
Not that you ain't going to be seated, but I don't know what was going to be in it. Because the threats we were getting from these people saying stuff and on to the bus. You know why everybody plays well in Boston? Can't go out. I can't go out.
Right, because you hear Vlad
sitting there laughing. Now, if somebody sat up here and said, yeah, Vlad, because you know why all the Jewish players play well in Germany? Because you can't go out. You know why all the Jewish players play well in Iran? They can't go out. You know why all the Jewish players play well in Palestine? Because they can't go out. I wonder if he would find it to be equally so funny. So reflexively funny. I wonder if he would find it to be that way if it was said like that. I wonder.
They try to stab their own player, and Paul Pierce, they stabbed him. You can't go out. So you wind up trying to do things like, I can tell you this, right down the street, the steakhouse. They don't have a problem taking us in, putting it, because they're making a shitload of money. They give you a quiet room off in the back, and they feed you dead animals. And they give you overly stuff so you can be too stuffed to play the next day. So there's certain places you can't really go and venture without somebody literally going, hey, I should kick you in your leg or hit you with this iron. Like, they're dead ass in Boston. I was in Boston, and this dude says, hey, great Italian restaurant. No one's going to bother us. We go in the back. I said, really? Yeah. I said, we can get like that. That's when I ate really bad foods, when I asked for all the stuff that wasn't good for my arthritis in the future.
Okay.
And sure enough, I walk in there, and there's 5 mob guys there. And I'm thinking, oh, this is a joke. Oh, this is cool guys. You know these guys. Damn, you look like the guys from Canarsie. Yeah. How many points you guys think you're going to? I can't answer that. Yes, you can. No, I can't. Is Isaiah playing? And I looked at my boy, and he's sitting there like, nice meeting you guys. Oh, no, don't go anywhere. Got up, and I had to walk out. So, I mean, it was even to the point where the gangsters are like, yeah, maybe we'll keep you here. So it's dangerous. And my junior year in high school, college,
That's what you call systemic, where you run into the same thing everywhere you go. It's like Village of the Damned. Everywhere you look around, folks' eyes are glowing at you. That's what you call systemic. If you all agree with that, give me the eyes emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. It's almost 3,000 people in here live in just the first 17 minutes. But if you all agree with me on that, give me the eyes emoji in the chat room and hit the likes button for me. I know this is a little bit different from what you all are used to, but then again, this is actually the same as what I talked about here before, because I'm showing you the racist element of that, not from the 1960s or 70s, which is why when we say cut the check, it's because the society is exactly the same one it's been. It hasn't changed. That's why their debt hasn't moved. Not at all.
Happened to be dating this Irish girl who gave me a clarity ring. You know, that's the ring. Yeah, maybe we'll keep you here. So it's dangerous. And my junior year in high school, college, I happened to be dating this Irish girl who gave me a clarity ring. You know, that's the ring they have with the heart holding. Mm-hmm. And I guess it was a family heirloom, and her dad was like, 1, beat her ass because I was black, and 2, beat her ass because she couldn't find a ring, so I gave her back a ring. So I'm telling you, it was deep up there in the 80s. Remember, that's when the riots was kicking in. How I got to be friends with Patrick Ewing, since I was 16 and I was playing I made one mistake and played one tournament with Riverside Church out of the Bronx or out of Manhattan. Should have never done that dumb shit. Gaucho. I should have stayed Gaucho all the way through. But I went and played, and I got to meet Patrick, and it was during the riots. The riots were going on in Boston. That was huge in the 80s, 81. I remember there was riots in my school. I was the only black kid in school in 1982, period. The janitor didn't show up. The black teachers didn't show up. Nobody. I was only, because I lived on this, we lived in this part of Canarsie, and they had seen me my whole life.
So I wanted to show you there, by the way, that isn't just Boston. Isn't just Boston. Isn't just Boston. By the way, not just them. Why, here's Another hit. Remember this game right here, by the way. Remember this one? So my basketball folk there, Russell Westbrook here about a little over a year ago. Courtside fan, what is this? Los Angeles versus Milwaukee. 2022, December 2022. By the way, fair use, NBA, fair use.
There you see him down there in the left corner of your screen. Somebody clearly said.
Down here in the left-hand corner of the screen, you can see what's going on here.
Said something to him.
Welcome back here to Fiserv Forum. The Lakers leading the Bucks 41-35 with 9:15 to go in the second. Earlier in the game, at the end of the first quarter, you saw Russell Westbrook have this interaction with that fan in the second row. The gentleman was taken to the back in the tunnel area by security here at Fiserv Forum.
When was the last time that you saw a white player be physically accosted, verbally assaulted, or anything else by black fans? I'll wait. See, and it's not just in one city. That's the point I wanted to make there. Whether it's LeBron, John Sally, it ain't just one city. It's not a Boston thing. This is a white thing. This is not a Boston thing. This is a white thing. I mean, if you are a black person around predominantly white audience there, if they feel like this is, quote, their audience, it doesn't, every place is Boston. Do you understand that? Every place is Boston. You hear the same stories in Philadelphia. You hear the same stories in every other venue. You hear the same stories in those places. You hear the same stories in New York and New Jersey. You hear the same stories there. Nothing for the white players. Now, the white players can go play in Atlanta. The white players can go play in Dallas or Houston. The white players can go play in Detroit or Chicago. Ain't nobody messing with them. Ain't nobody calling them out their name. The black fans are not sitting up here targeting them for their whiteness. And you know it's true because if it weren't, the media would be talking about racist fans on both sides. They can't do that one right there, so they just bury this, and now they can't control it about Boston. Okay, well, it's just Boston. No, it's not. It's everywhere. No, it's not. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And when you show up, that's the reception that you get. By the way, folks, not liking the program here tonight. I knew it was going to be a little bit impromptu in that regard, so that's okay. May go ahead and wrap it up here in just a moment. I just felt like that picture really stuck out to me, though. That picture really stuck out to me because when I saw this, it just, here they are, young and old, dressed in the jerseys, not dressed in the jerseys. And what I'm saying is, by the way, where's the Boston that John Sally and LeBron James and all these other players got introduced to? Where's that Boston? Where is it at? Because I'm looking and I'm listening and I don't see it. I don't see the Boston that everybody else gets so closely acquainted with. I don't see it. I don't see it. And I think that's important. I think it's important because I believe in power dynamics. And as a proponent and advocate of power dynamics, in my world, when something like that occurs, when that's the environment, there are times that you flex on them. You are in no stronger position than you could possibly be. This is the strongest position you could possibly be in. This is the time to take a knee. This is the time to put up the black fist. This is the time to talk about their sins and their evils. This is the time to tell them who they really are. This is the time to flex on them. You are at the absolute apex of your power and your abilities. Why, you're indestructible. You're invincible. This is the time to call Boston out. This is the time that you do that. Right here. You want to know when you do it? This is the time here. When they're out there in the streets and they're jumping up and down, and then you tell them, by the way, I couldn't help but remember who you all are. I couldn't help. Let me tell you a little story about Boston. This would be the time for them to be doing that. I want to show you a little bit more here. Take a look at the roster of the Boston Celtics. Taking a look at the roster of the Boston Celtics here. This is from NBA.com, by the way. So if it's not correct, blame them. It's not me. This is your roster, the 2024 Celtics. That's 17 people there. $11 of whom are certainly carrying melanated ancestry here. 11. 14% of the population. And yet, when you go to the sports teams, yikes. Shows you a little bit of something. Shows you a little bit of something. See, here's my thing right there. I don't want anybody calling me no damn hero when I know they don't respect me. I'm firmly a believer in don't do that. I'm firmly a believer in be the way you are actually. I'm firmly a believer in making some awkward moments. I'm firmly a believer that when folk have been doing this long, time to make some awkward moments. What I'm saying is, at what point do you not do that? And I'm not talking about trying to change Boston or any other city. What I am saying is put these things in its proper context. But then again, that's not the way that these places work. That's not the way that happens. Let's be clear. You're not dealing with a group of individuals who really do power dynamics. You're dealing with a bunch of dudes here who are selected because their reactions are known. So that's the reason why they'll do that there, because they know what the reaction will be. You also notice that you don't hear anybody giving them the Caitlin Clark treatment. You hearing LeBron James and other players talk about folks are throwing things at them, throwing batteries at them, throwing beer at them. Caitlin Clark isn't dealing with anything like that. Nobody's doing that to Caitlin Clark. Nobody does that to any of the white players, certainly not when they go to a predominantly black venue. They don't get that kind of treatment, and nobody does the headlines about this. Charles Barkley got nothing to say about that. Stephen A. Smith, nothing to say about that. The rest of them don't have anything to say about that. They sit there laughing. Well, Boston, yeah. Oh, they're going to kneecap you, yeah. Boston's rough, man, yeah. And they sit there laughing like it's, white folks will be white folks. Nobody sits there and says, what's wrong with white culture? Nobody sits there and says that. Nobody sits there and says, let's have a conversation about white culture. They say, what about Boston? You notice that? When they talk about these things here, they don't say, what about white society? What's the issue with white culture? They say, well, what about Boston? And they start naming cities. And what I'm saying is that we are not going to have matured here properly until we realize, by the way, there is a time and a place to have that conversation. And the time and place to have that conversation is like, I'm so glad you all are celebrating right now. We need to go ahead and address an issue here right quick. We need to go ahead and address an issue right quick. Because as the people here who brought home the championships and whatnot, we're not really respected by the folks here. We have to talk about the problem that is Boston. And here is the reason for doing so. You get there in front of the cameras of the local TV stations, y'all sit there, and then you start telling Boston about its ass. And the reason for that is to make it clear to everyone that if you practice white supremacy, there will be a price for it. And that every time you get something, we're going to be here to put an exclamation point on it. We're going to be here to give the narrative to it. Just like you all want to do with our music that we created. Let me go ahead and take this basketball right here. We're going to go ahead and put the capstone on the narrative of this and say, yes, Boston, where racism lives and thrives. Boston, where white supremacy has been raised to an art form. The same men you cheering for and whatnot there. That's the position that you do that from. When they have to sit there and turn on their TVs and it's like, oh boy, they're looking for a happy word. Just like, by the way, we wanted to go ahead and give you some final thoughts about that championship that we brought home here, by the way. Home being in quotations. See, that's how you go from being heroes of the plantation to freedmen. That's how you go from that to being freedmen. There comes a time, or at least there should come a time, when your dignity and self-respect are not up for sale. And I'm not saying that you even have to do something really spectacular. What I am saying is that, by the way, what does this cost you to say that? What does it cost you to at least be an advocate there? Because you see, Caitlin Clark got her damn advocates, which is the insult of all of this. Caitlin Clark has her advocates. Caitlin Clark got the folks speaking up for her. She's got that. The black folk who built these things and made these things, they don't have it. Everybody up here is sitting up here gathering around Caitlin Clark. They're rallying around her. The black players who've been doing this forever, nobody's calling out nobody's giving them the Caitlin Clark treatment. Nobody's doing that for them. However, you might disagree. Therefore, the telephone lines are now open. The number is 646-787-1933. That's 646-787-1933. Your personal access code to the blackest radio program in existence, the only one of its kind on planet Earth today. As always, you are welcome to join us. I want to thank everyone here who has contributed to support tonight's program. Pam Greer, thank you very much. Very interesting there. Cool. We got Mr. Monroe. Also got a new channel member here, Cornell Sly. Thank you very much for your support as well. Desire. Also, please be aware that our crowdfunding for 8 a.m. is going on here right now. You want to talk about a narrative? The crowdfunding for 8 a.m. is going on here right now. So definitely, folks, thank you very much for your contributions to that. For my sports heads here tonight, I usually don't do this kind of thing, but, on tonight's program, if my sports heads want to weigh in on that, especially, because everybody doesn't live in the Northeast necessarily. But this has been a situation right here. When I saw that picture resonated with me in a bad way. When I saw that picture, it was nothing but an insult. Because I know how those people actually are. And you know how those people actually are. And it was offensive to me to see that. That was offensive. So we're going to go ahead and take your telephone calls here momentarily. Before we do, just a brief reminder here that our crowdfunding for 8 a.m. is going on here right now. The link is in the description. My mods can also post that in the chat room just to let you know what we're doing.
We've grown up in a sea of white supremacy. I think that what slavery did for us is it created this sense that the white man's ice is colder and that we want to have a seat at that table and not a seat at our own table.
At LSU, we never had a conversation about the business of sports, about the money that's made. They don't want to have that conversation because you have that conversation, that's what creates movements.
Most people are miserable. They're depressed. They hate their life. Why do people hate their life? Because they're doing things they hate. Because they feel like they're scared they can't pay a bill.
George Soros probably said it the best, and he said that when he was broke, nobody listened to him, but when he broke the banks over in Europe, he was able to start talking to the heads of state.
Are you listening? Is this thing on?
Let me tell you about the record industry. You walk into a major company, they got some of the prettiest women. You want some Perrier, you want some water. What do you need? Once they got you, it's just like that. What have you done for me lately?
A lot of those athletes in college, 99% of them will not make it to that high level NBA, WNBA, NFL.
If an artist is not a puppet, he's not going to be pulled to the top. It's the bottom line.
Friends is friends and business is business. Never intertwining.
And it's on. The link is in the description of the video. Also is posted in the chat room there. So I look forward to seeing all of you be a part of this. I wonder if we can get 50 more backers tonight during tonight's program. We got a lot to cover here. So wonder if we can get 50 more on tonight's program. We're going to go ahead and go to the telephone lines. I think we can go ahead and do that. I think we can do that though. Let me get caller from area code 469. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, Black Channel? You call me JP. I'm out here in Oak Cliff, baby.
Okay, what's your name again, sir?
JP.
Okay, you say, okay, your phone's breaking up when you say your name. What was that one more time?
Yeah, it's JP.
All right, JP, what's on your mind?
Okay, you were touching on Boston. I'd just like to maybe tell a story of my interaction when I first went to that city back in 2014. And I was somewhere in Brighton or like Cambridge in that area. I was just walking back from a grocery store, right? So it was a little pub, and it was two white people like outside. So I'm crossing the street. The white dude was gonna ask me, "Hey man, what's the name of that black guy in that movie with Jackie Chan?" Just out of nowhere, bro. I'm just walking minding my business. So I told him Ethan Hawke and kept it pushing. But you're right though. Like some people feel like they can just come at you in any kind of way and talk to you any kind of way for the simple fact they're in an area where they may be the dominating demographic.
Yeah,
But
I mean, definitely. If they think they got you outnumbered, if they think they got you on their turf, then the real thing comes out.
I had to think about that. Like, what possessed you to just randomly stop me and ask me some stupid, idiotic stuff that you could have Googled? You know what you was trying to do, bro. You was trying to see how I was going to react to your ignorance, but I kept it pushing. I can bring up many other stories where I interacted with, white people, and they go to either black people should forget about slavery, and we end up talking about business or something, and they end up getting on slavery. Man, how we getting to this? You know what I'm saying? So I would definitely like for you to continue to educate, whites about their history in this nation, because maybe they can learn that it wasn't all good for them back in 1619. The whites that landed in Jamestown were eating carcasses, and that's verified by scientists, from the BBC. So it's a lot of things that we don't really put a disclaimer on when we're referring to towns like Boston. But you're right, man, maybe people should know that when you go to these towns like Boston, know that they got this air about them as if like they ish don't stink. But when you start telling them about Ellis Island and how they came over here and how the Italians and the Irish all grouped up to become this one unilateral race for the point of supremacy, because they seen how, black people pulling themselves up by the bootstraps, regardless of the situation, that really kind of, I think, intimidates them to the factor that if we start ethno-aggregating from city to city, black people supporting each other's business, then we'll have an economy that is no longer as a consumer, it's a producer. And that's all I got to say, sir.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get a caller from area code 206. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Good evening. This is Agnes calling from Seattle, Washington.
Agnes from Seattle. What's on your mind?
Hi. I just like to chime in on some key points that you made. It's because Boston is one of the older East Coast cities, so the racism there is more entrenched than, let's say, a city like Seattle, which is only 160 years old. That being said, I remember going to Boston Celtics games back in the 80s when I was growing up. When you got off at Boston Logan on the tarmac, you felt it, okay? It's still there to this day. There are certain sections of Boston where a black person knows better than to go, because you got the Irish section, you got the Russian section, you got the Italian section. And just like the previous caller said, they'll walk up to you and say something out of the way just to test your nerve, see how you're going to respond. But the eyes are really there. I remember a couple of the Celtics games, home games, because I was a big Detroit Pistons fan. And it's true. The Pistons versus the Celtics, man, what they didn't show on TV were the fist fights. The fans going in on John Sally and Isaiah Thomas. And see, these guys, they fought back. They stood on business. And this was back before they got the serious security guards like they have them now. So it was literally one-on-one. And they would wait. Those rabid Boston beings would wait for you when you left. So we always grouped up. I was there with my family and other black folks. Even if we didn't know each other, we still walked in large groups so nobody could isolate us. And that's the thing we have to keep in mind. We can't isolate ourselves or let other people isolate us to try to pull us away from what we're doing. And again, like you said, it's not just Boston, and it's not just in the arena of basketball. It's the whole systemic white supremacy. And we have to have some serious conversations, especially, with the championship. Now's the time to say, hey, this is what we need to talk about here in Boston.
Well,
this is what we need to talk about in
Seattle. Not just Boston though, because for example, the team that whatever that team was, Kyrie Irving was on. Was it the Nets? I think I forget who it was. The Kyrie Irving was on.
Oh, Brooklyn Nets.
And if you'll remember, when folks say, "Well, Jason, what did we do about it?" What we do about it, dumb nigga. What we do about it is what we did about it with Kyrie Irving. When they tried to gang up on Kyrie, y'all remember this microphone. Folks were asking me, "Well, Jason, what can we do? What's going to happen?" I said, if we rally around Kyrie, if the public doesn't turn against him, if we at the grassroots, if we stand strong for Kyrie, he's going to have a chance to make it through this. If we abandon him, he's a goner. What happened? The public stood behind him. We stood with him. We didn't get wobbly. And they left it. They eventually had to leave him alone. Now, he changed teams, apparently.
Exactly.
But they had to leave him alone. So that's what you do about this kind of thing right here. When somebody does stand up and say something, you stand with them. That's how you change that.
Yes, because I remember it was the Hebrew Israelites. It was a whole column of men aged 19 to 99 that walked down through New York City, Manhattan. It was a column of men, at least a couple thousand, and that shut everything down. Because when we stand on business and stand in solidarity, and they see our numbers, they start thinking differently.
Yeah, they're looking to see if they can catch you. It's the same game it's always been. They're looking to see if they can isolate you, looking to see if they can catch you by yourself, either in person or socially. It's, as Malcolm X said, it's never one-on-one. They're always looking to gang up on you. They don't come after you as individuals. They come after you as a group. It's always been a lynch mob. It's always been a wolf pack. It's always been that. If there's just 2 or 3 of you, that's enough to get them to back down from whatever they're doing. So that's the way it's always been. And if we stand together, especially, and by that I mean if we're on code, then that's what changes those things.
Right.
Of course, being on code also includes the players themselves, which is where usually the little speed bump comes in. I'll let you have the last word.
Yes, that's very, very important that we stay on code at all times, whether we play for these professional sports teams or we're in the boardroom or even just out and about. We can't switch on and switch off when we know we have to stay consistent. That's all. Thank you very much, and be one.
Be one, thank you very much for giving us a call here. Now, let me show you all something. Let me show you all something here right now. Once again, this is something that they don't talk about. This is something that they don't show here, people. I got to remind you of this because there's so many of you here. You cannot afford to be intellectually lazy, especially when people are trading in the common commerce of deceptive language, deceptive talk, and deceptive talking points. Let me show you something. Direct your eyes to the screen. And I know I've been really heavy about this, bringing things back from the past to remind you all of when you're getting bamboozled and hoodwinked. I know I've been super heavy about this recently, especially this week here going into Juneteenth, but this is my function as the black media. How many of y'all remember this? Oh, you take a look at that. Damn! How many of y'all remember this? Now, this is from 2010 from thetech.com, but how many of you remember this? According to The Town, they're referring to the movie The Town by Ben Affleck, a crime drama released in theaters today. There are over 300 bank robberies in Boston each year. What? Now, this article was written back in 2010. However, it said that according to that movie there's over 300 bank robberies in Boston each year. The movie poster portrays masked robbers wielding weapons in nun costumes with the tagline, "Welcome to the bank robbery capital of America," hanging ominously over them. Damn! Now, for most of you, this will be the first time you ever heard this about Boston. Now, I do give the caveat that this was from 14 years ago, yes, but even in 2010, most of you didn't know this. Most of you didn't know that, by the way, oh yeah, that was a thing. Probably still a thing today, although it's harder to rob banks than it's ever been, but by the way, were you aware of that? Is Boston really the bank robbery capital of America? And it says the statistics speak for themselves, says Special Agent Gail Marcinkiewicz, FBI media spokesperson. FBI reports show that for the past 7 years, that was from 2003 to 2010 or from 2002 to 2009, depending on what you're looking at there. For the past 7 years, the state of Massachusetts has seen 200 to 300 incidents of bank crime each year, although the number of those cases occurring in the Boston area is unknown. Not really. Not really. But by the way, they don't like to count that little statistic. No, sir. Boston has always been known that, especially Charlestown. You all can go look that one up for yourselves. Y'all can go look that one up for yourselves. It's always been known for that. So when you talk about the Whitey Bulgers and people like that, it's always been known for that. And yet that's not the way that popular media usually portrays it. They don't usually talk about that in Boston. They talk about gentrification. They talk about sports teams. They don't talk about the bank robbery capital of America. They didn't talk about how per capita Boston was whooping everybody else's ass. Right up until recently. Although they may still be doing that still, so just another little tidbit about Boston. Just want to throw that in there for you. So folks want to sit up here and try to smooth that over, but just decided to go ahead and throw that to you. Where else in Massachusetts would you be knocking over banks except Boston? Where else would you? Come on, the state of Massachusetts is so small you can put it in the back of your car and drive it around. Where else you gonna rob a bank in Massachusetts? Where else? Caller area code 262. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Jason. My name is Derek. I'm calling from Racine, Wisconsin.
All right, Derek from Racine, Wisconsin. What's on your mind?
You know, all this talk about Boston strikes me as interesting because you remember Denzel's first movie, The Equalizer?
Okay, I don't think that was his first movie, but yes, that's one of his more recent movies, yes.
But did you notice in that movie, it was taking place, you know, he was in Boston, but what I noticed was that when the Russian mafia people that he had exterminated brought in their fixer, he went around to different mobs, you know, and they just shown the scene with an Irish mobster. And I guess what I'm getting around to is that the other thing they never talk about is just how saturated Boston is, you know, with, you know, these underworld types of different ethnicities. Because I think in the movie they mentioned, besides the Irish, the Italians, the Chinese, and Armenians.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, they downplay those things and you don't hear about that very much. And when you put it in that context, you start comparing Boston to Chicago. You start talking about, hey, what about white on white crime? When you start doing that, all of a sudden folks get real quiet. That's why they don't say very much about this. If I didn't say what I said tonight, most folk would have no earthly idea. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller area code 310. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's going on, Jason? This is TJ out of Los Angeles.
All right, TJ out of Los Angeles. What's on your mind?
Man, I gotta say the reparations march that you've been on the past couple of broadcasts, absolutely excellent. Please keep that going. I love when you tap on sports because I played at a top 25 school when I was in college, and the way that you talked about how they select the athletes for promotion, you are 100% right. And the way that I saw it go down on the campus that I was at is that when different things happen out in society, right? So let's say in 2020, when the George Floyd riots were going on, they would look and watch to see which athletes have a strong response and which black athletes have a strong response to that and which black athletes are like, you know what? I'm really focused on getting these yards. I'm focused on lifting the weight. They look at the ones who abandon their platform for performance, and those are the ones that they let through in every, like, and we'll just do the big ones, basketball, track, and football, because they know well ahead of time that after the games, they're going to come and talk. At halftime, they're going to come and talk and let one of the athletes have the platform, right, the national platform, everybody who's watching ABC, NBC, whatever, and after the game, it's going to be the same thing. So the athletes that they're choosing, these, Jason Tatum's, the Jaylen Browns, a lot of them know that they already know well in their college years, hey, this is someone who's not going to say anything no matter how bad it gets. So you're absolutely right, they're choosing them. But I'm a little upset because the cutoff was 2016. I played in 2011. They're not trying to give us, our due for our NIL missed out. You know what I'm saying? So I was a little bit upset when you did that broadcast. I didn't get to call it on that one. But it's a whole system there, Jason, from the trainers. The trainers watch you in the training room to see how your response is. Are you having any kind of low-key conversations, right? They have these equipment managers that'll kind of, test the temperature real quick, too. There's all these levels, the strength training, right? They'll watch you there at meetings, at practice. They're watching and listening out for who's, talking about rebellion. And whoever starts talking about rebellion, yeah, we're going to switch the game plan. You're not getting in. We're going to put this person in instead. You're not getting the same yards. You would have went first round, but you went fourth round, and nobody really knows why. And a lot of times it's because those are the ones that are talking up.
Yeah, that's the thing right there that I wanted to make a point about here is that most people are very, very clueless about how sports work, particularly team sports. So if you want to know why it is, the biggest misconception that, and if you played in college sports, you already know this, the biggest misconception that people have is that it's a true meritocracy. No, it's not. It's an engineered meritocracy. It's a filtered meritocracy. It is not a pure meritocracy. And the way in which they get rid of, quote, troublemakers is they do that at the college level. Because, for example, if you did have, a 2 or 3 Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf on your team, why the pros would be like, we ain't sure that coach got control of his team over there. And that would be the kind of thing they'd be saying. So the coaches know what to do. The deans and chancellors know what to do. And if you're a, quote, troublemaker or a problem, you won't get out of NCAA. You won't get out of there. Even if you have better stats, even if you have better performance, even if you're a better player, they'll bench your ass. They'll lose a championship if that's what that means. Ask Marshawn Lynch. I'll let you have the last word.
You're exactly right, Jason. They are willing to. It's a shame. So the school that I went to, I hope nobody can kind of backdoor who I am, but I went to SC, and SC has not gotten anywhere close to championship contention because they refused to bring in a black quarterback. And then when they did bring in a black quarterback, they will never pair that black quarterback with the other black elements that he's going to need to really be successful. Like, they're not going to bring in a Lamar Jackson and support him. They would rather be the laughing stock of the Pac-12, 10, or now the Big Ten than to actually take the steps to bring in the players that they know can get that performance, but they also know they're going to come with a certain attitude and belief system, and they would just rather have someone that's doing what they want. But I appreciate you, Jason. I'm going to keep listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 617. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Steve from Boston.
Okay, Steve from Boston. What's on your mind?
I'm telling you, man, you really don't know the history of Boston. I'm surprised that movies aren't made about the history of Boston. Growing up, we used to have to fight just to play at playgrounds. I went to the MECO program, which is a voluntary busing program to the suburbs of the city of Boston. And we used to get beat up by the older black kids in the school. And we would ask them, like, why are we getting jumped? Why are you doing this? Why do you have that MECO initiation? They said, you have to be tough. You got to know how to throw down with these white dudes. And as we grew up and matured and went to school and high school, you would be sitting in school doing your work, and the black kids would come through and knock on the door and say, it's time to go. You have to get up and kick ass. And we used to kick ass, man. We used to fight over playgrounds. Wainwright Playground in Dorchester, Walsh Park in Dorchester. People from Boston got to know those parks. We would get kicked out of those parks playing basketball. You'll call your cousins from Roxbury or Mattapan, and 2 weeks later we'd go back to the park 200, 300 deep and beat the white boys up. I'm surprised movies aren't made about Boston, man. You don't know the level of violence that went on in Boston. It was incredible, man. It was incredible. And I'm glad somebody's talking about it.
Well, like I say, I mean, it's one of those things where to deal with those places like Boston, Bensonhurst, you know, they've been referenced in passing in movies, you know, The Departed, they've been referenced in passing. But yeah, this is one of those things where if you leave it up to the studio system, this is why we make our own films, our own documentaries. If you leave it up to the studio system, they're not going to talk about that. Like, think about that for a few moments. They're glamorizing bank robbers.
Right.
They're glamorizing bank robbers. They're glamorizing mobsters. So even to the extent that they do acknowledge it, they're glamorizing it. So if it's up to them, they're not going to say it.
They robbed banks in Florida. They robbed banks in New Hampshire. It was called the No Name Gang out in South Boston. They robbed banks all over the country. So you said Boston, Massachusetts is small. They couldn't just rob banks in Massachusetts. Yeah, they robbing banks all over the East Coast.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
Boston also
there were a few of them.
Theft capital of
yeah, America. I mean, there were actually a few of them out there. They had a number of rings out there doing that. That was a thing. That was part of the culture in Boston. That was the white culture in Boston. That was an initiation thing. Black folk wasn't running them rackets. The black folk wasn't running them rackets. Those were the white folk running that. And what I'm saying is it's been a buried thing. So they talk about everything in Boston except that part. That's the part they don't talk about. So hell yeah, y'all are having problems in the school. Hell yeah, because those are the thugs you're going to school with.
Right. And we used to and you ask Kendrick Perkins when Kyrie Irving, he said he hopes there's nothing racist that happens in Boston. I don't know, last year. And he got all this pushback from people in Boston. And Kendrick Perkins, who was a former Celtic, he said, Boston's not that racist. And some other athletes from Boston said Boston's not that racist. I'm thinking, why don't you ask some of the people in the neighborhood, the black people from Boston, what do they think if Boston is racist?
I mean, no. Everybody knows what it is. Remember what Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said. White people play dumb about racism and black folk play dumb along with them. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. It's just this is how they sit up here and, as a society, haze you and put you on code. So that even something that you know is demonstrably false, you're sitting there nodding your head along with everybody else with it. That's just how brutal white supremacy is. That's just how unified it is.
Net worth of a black Bostonian is what, $8? And believe me, when you walk around the city of Boston, you can see it. You can see their wealth, and you see our lack of wealth. You can see all the homeless black people on the streets of Boston. It's sad, bro. It's sad. You can see it, man. You can see it when you walk around the streets of the city.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I mean, this on the one hand, you got the thug culture there, and on the other hand, they're gentrifying it to hell. So the bottom line is Whether it is physically, financially, socially, politically, black people are being targeted there. Always have been. And still are.
Targeted here.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get a caller from area code 234. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
My name is Lee. I'm calling from Akron, Ohio.
All right, Lee from Akron. What's on your mind?
Oh, man, it's funny how you just mentioned all this stuff about sports. For a short time in my 20s, I was living out in Boise, Idaho, and I noticed two events that happened out there. They imported a black quarterback to help their college team, and he didn't get them to the bowl game, but he won like a little minor championship. And when I say that this brother, he made the mistake of proposing to a white cheerleader. When I say that they chased that brother and the white girl out of town, it was flabbergasting. Second event, some brothers in eastern Idaho had just won community college a bowl game. They were riding back from the opposing team. They got into a wreck. It was kind of just an accident. When I say that they nailed those brothers to the wall, no type of leniency, no type of understanding that they were kids, mistakes happen. It just leads to my point that if there's anybody that has college-age kids that are talking about going to school in the next years or so, be careful sending them to these little places like Idaho's, Montana's, Iowa's, the Utahs and everything else. These places do not rock with us. And it's funny how you talk about Boston, because I traveled through there myself. They have gangs called straight edge gangs. They don't drink, they don't smoke, but they're drenched in that punk rock attitude. And if anybody knows anything about punk rock, grunge, all that stuff, it is based on white supremacy. It has ties to neo-Nazism and skinheads and stuff like that. And those types of gangs permeate that area and areas like I just described. So if we have any parents thinking about, I don't want to send my kids to, California or any of the
so-called black areas, yeah, the so-called black ones.
Yeah, so-called black. I'm hip. But if you want to think that going out there to Green Acres is going to save your children, they might be coming back home to you in a body bag. And that's just off of the 7 years that I was out there in those areas. The only thing black out there is 3:30 in the morning. Take that into consideration. B1, thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me get caller from area code 843. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason. This is Gabe calling back. I'm calling from South Carolina.
Okay.
How are you?
D calling from where at in South Carolina?
No, I'm sorry. It's Gabriel, but I go by Gabe, and I'm calling from South Carolina. I'm the girl Gabe you met like a couple weeks ago.
The girl Gabe, slow down.
Yeah.
The girl Gabe that I met a couple of weeks ago. Considering the fact
that I didn't actually meet you face to face, but we spoke on when I told you Biden came to Charleston.
All right, thank you.
And I spoke to Biden asking him about reparations.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm very glad to hear that right there, because how we phrase things, that's very interesting, because sometimes they be celebrating and then they pick up a phone and start sitting back smiling and dialing. So I'm like, okay, I might not want to claim you. So it's just don't tell folks you met me. I might not want to claim you now. I might want to just I might want to visit, not claim you. So it's just you never know when it's one of them situations. I'm like, so don't put it out there.
Don't do me like that now. Come on now.
I might not.
It's all in love.
She might have the Serena Williams build and the Chris Rock face. So I might not want to claim him. So it depends on how it goes. So don't just say, remember me from a couple weeks. Remember me from a couple weeks ago? So, wait a minute. Hold on. I was drunk. I mean, Jason, you don't drink. I'm gonna start.
But Jason, hold up now. I'm FBA, so even if I look that way, that still trumps that too now. Come on now.
Okay, baby.
I'm FBA all day.
Yeah, that trumps it for a handshake. That trumps it for a handshake. So yes, you can get a handshake and a firm pat on the back. Hello, Gabe. Anyway, what's on your mind?
True. That's what that. Yeah, so I was calling because the was that the championship game on last night? I used to watch basketball and football. I stopped watching football after Colin Kaepernick. I haven't watched it since. And then last night, my husband was in here watching the championship, I guess, last night. So I came in, and I was like, what's going on? He was just telling me, and he was so shocked to see how many white women were booed out with the black players. And I was like, that's nothing new. And like, he felt like so shocked, like, where are the black women? I was like, well, they go to these universities and that's who they throw in front of them. And that's something to be said about that. And that was kind of disturbing. So I wanted to just bring that in.
Well, definitely, sometimes they set themselves up, or at least they make some poor decisions, folks. You need to stay on code. You need to stay on code. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, I met you a couple weeks ago. You were on the phone. Oh, ain't that the same? All right, y'all. This new vernacular got me. So I called somebody up. Well, I met you. Okay. The prosecution rests. Let me get caller from area code 703. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
This is Mike from Alexandria, Virginia.
All right, Mike from Alexandria, Virginia. What's on your mind?
I was just calling because you were definitely right about that. You can exercise your power because the Patriots, they're located in the Boston area, and they just hired Gerard Mayo. He was a former player for them, and he's black, and he's married to a black woman. And when Robert Kraft hired him, they asked him about why did you, asked him about hiring a black man. And Robert Kraft said, oh, I don't see color. I just hired the, best player. And when they asked Gerard Mayo about it in the Boston area, he said, well, I would be lying if I say I don't see color. And he said, if I don't see color, then I don't see racism. And it was a weird reaction because you could definitely see that they were caught off guard by him saying that, especially being in the Boston area. They were definitely caught off guard from that, and they swept it under the rug at the same time. They talked about it for like 2 days, and then they left it alone. But you're right, because he didn't get in trouble. Nothing happened, and I guess he realized his leverage. Like, I just got hired.
You say nothing happened. Not
I don't
yet.
know. Nothing that we know about.
No, I'm just saying, you say nothing happened, and I say not yet. Not yet.
Yes.
That's one thing to watch right there.
Doesn't have the leeway that the other coaches would have. Like, let's say he has a horrible first season, they might fire him after one season.
Oh, he might not. He might not get a whole season. It might be just half a season.
Exactly.
He might be one of them folk who gets cut after half a season. So that's the kind of thing to watch out for there. I mean, look, definitely the way that thing works when you talk about racism, and I don't see racism and stuff like that. You can sit up here and play that game of, not acknowledging it when it's not really a factor. When folks are throwing batteries at you, drinks at you, calling you nigga, accosting you at restaurants, we see color now. We sure do. We absolutely do.
Definitely.
This is no time to be colorblind when you're being targeted like that. This is, I damn sure see color. You damn right I do. If that wasn't going on, maybe you'd have a leg to stand on to sit up here and just play it some other kind of way. This has been our experience. If our experience were a colorblind society, or at the very least these things were done covertly, it'd be different. Boston is sitting up here with folks getting kicked out the damn arena. They getting kicked out the arena and every damn thing else. So I'm like, okay, damn right I see color. Yes, I do. My only thing about that would be, I believe in dealing with things from a position of strength, and I don't blame him necessarily for acknowledging it, because you're walking through a minefield all the time to begin with there. But definitely especially where Kraft is concerned, because, there's been some things going on there in that regard. Tread carefully with those people is the biggest thing I can tell you. Tread carefully with all of them. The ones smiling in your face and the ones you don't see smiling. I'll let you have the last word.
I just want to say, that racism is very prevalent there with all of the Patriots players, the players that pay for the Patriots that have said, that the fans are racist and everything. And they're one of the most winningest franchises, in the past 20 years. So it doesn't matter, like you said, it doesn't matter if the Celtics won. You're still just an N-word to them. But I'll land my plane there. Thank you.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. You know what it's like? You know what it's like? It's like being a chick in pornography. What? I said it. It's like being a female in the porn industry. It's like that. A producer in the porn industry once said that porn is the only business where the stars are equally despised by both their employers and the customers. Well, being a black athlete in these places, that's like being a chick in porn. In the porn business, the movies, they call them, slutty broads and, thotty hoes and this, that, and the other. Slutty Bees 15, Slutty Bees 17. I mean, they're outright calling you sluts and whores and bees and tramps. This was long before rap music got explicit, by the way. They were doing that the whole damn time. And what I'm saying is that these other folks here, they kind of do that the same way. They don't put it on the jerseys necessarily, but their attitude is pretty much the same. They need you more than they hate you, but it's a close-ass race, and you're only cool so long as you benefit them, and that's only for a few minutes, and I mean literally a few minutes. As soon as you are no longer of use, which means as soon as you deliver the trophy for their benefit, now you're back where you were, which means you never actually left. Caller from area code 617, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi there. I'm Mike from Massachusetts.
Okay, Mike, from where at Massachusetts?
Just appreciate you. And
okay, Mike, slow down tonight. One more time. Brake pedal, Mike. We're at Massachusetts.
I'm in Western Mass. I'm from Boston originally.
Okay. Well, you say you're in Western Massachusetts. Let's not play around, dude. Folks don't know who you are. Where at Massachusetts are you at?
In the Berkshires.
Okay, that's fine. I know you're saying it's a small place. Folk might not recognize it, but I got a big audience, so they actually will. All right.
Beckett, Mass. Okay. Beckett is the name of the town.
All right, that's fine. Beckett, Massachusetts. What's on your mind?
I just so many dynamics to the conversation, but I don't know if you were aware they interviewed Missoula, and a reporter asked him about being a black head coach, and he dodged the question by mentioning his Christianity. I don't know if you noticed that.
I didn't see that interview, but I've definitely been hearing some things since I started looking into this and whatnot. So certainly, you got some people here who speak it straight, and then you got other folks who are kind of more evasive on it. So I've kind of been hearing that.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that there's sort of I don't want to characterize Missoula. I think he's a great guy and an ethics coach, and he's obviously a man of faith. But I think there's an element, growing up in Boston, of the, kind of person who didn't want to see race like your last caller was talking about. But it's obviously there. I mean, I'm technically, I guess, white, but I even noticed within, the mixed Irish and Jewish and Italian families that there was jabbing and racism within them. It's very extreme in the East Coast, the racism. It's like baked into the society.
That's very interesting you would say that right there, because when people watch their gangster movies, for example, that's the kind of thing I think that gets by them, because they're used to the gangster movies showing that there's usually, rivalries or conflicts between, the Jewish gangs, the Italian gangs, the Irish gangs. And historically, that's been the context it's in. However, they all have the same attitude towards us. So there's the one thing that they can all agree on. And I'm glad you made that point to that there, because that's a context that's usually missing. But yeah, that's a very good one to put in there in that regard. That's the one thing they do agree on. So as long as we're useful, they'll overlook it for an hour or so, and then it's right back to the same old same. Because the problem for the Celtics up there now is, okay, you've won the championship for them. They don't need you anymore. At least not till next season. So.
Well, and the other thing I hated to see was the way, for one, that they accept the booing of Kyrie. I mean, he did talk some shit. Excuse me, my language. But still, it just seemed unacceptable, and it gives racist people a cover,
Well, I mean, it's not really about accepting it, because there are two factors at play here. I want to go ahead and remind people here, and of course you all know I'm always going to take the uncompromising position. I'm just explaining the factors at play here. Remember, first and foremost, the guys are there to play their games and get paid. Remember, they pay taxes in every city that they play in. So first and foremost, their priority is to get paid. The number one thing they have to keep in mind is their television time, because unfortunately right now television time is part of the deal with the NBA. So there's a certain time limit they put on the games, and they really want things to be wrapped up within that time limit for the benefit of the networks that are going to be showing the game, because that's the way it's mapped out. So in reality, that's really what they're being paid for, especially when it comes to a championship game. Anything that could delay it unnecessarily, anything that could postpone it, anything that could cause any sort of delays or whatever, that's very, very frowned upon, even if you got folks sitting up here calling you nigga. So that's why LeBron was saying, well, that happens with that, but I play past that because it's like he gets paid. They all get paid for keeping within that time frame. So even when outrageously, unacceptable things are occurring, this folks calling them niggas is the equivalent of a female out there and some dude pinches her on the ass or grabs her breasts while if she falls in the crowd or whatever, and he grips her ass or grabs her breasts while she's out there. And the priority would be the time slot. And I'm like, by the way, that kind of stuff happens on a regular basis. So it really becomes a situation of what do you do? It really creates this cognitive dissonance, because you're also dealing with something else. Your response, even as a white man, or my response in that situation might be to turn around and stomp somebody's ass. But that creates a problem too. And the reason it creates a problem is because, like with Russell Westbrook, you had this suspected white supremacist out here, and they said he was a MAGA dude and stuff like that, and he was calling racial names and stuff. This dude is sitting up here all big and bad when Russell walked over there, but if Russell laid his ass out, he'd be calling Morgan and Morgan before he hit the floor. So that's the kind of situation you're dealing with there. And everybody knows it. He'll be sitting there talking all this mess, and the second that Russell sits up here and decks him, he's going to go straight down, and he's going to be crying and boo-hooing and talking about he's traumatized. I got CTE and my orbital socket and my kids. That's what it would be. So you're in that situation where you're dealing with your natural reflexes. You're dealing with balancing this thing of being a professional with somebody out here who's in the crowd who is interfering with your workplace. Because under normal circumstances, when that happens, you got the authority to shut that down however you please. However, even if Russell did do that and they let him stay in the game, you know what's coming in. I mean, this is what happens. This is what happens. Folks will do that kind of stuff, and then the second you put them in their place, here they are sitting next to Gloria Allred. Well, that doesn't justify what they did there. And so it becomes that. So you're dealing with all these conflicting tendencies all in one place, and you just came there to play basketball. That's the only thing you came for. And now you have to psychologically and mentally and emotionally juggle this. And it's intended to, at best, distract you from the game. And at worst, provide the situation for something that happens off the court where you got to deal with something else. So on the one hand, I definitely understand it, but it's also a situation where folks are trying to put you in the trick bag. Do you stop the game and deal with the trick bag, or do you stay focused on the game? And that's the dilemma that these men are in on a regular basis.
Understood. Very good.
Now I'm curious. When you said that you're basically white, I'm trying to figure out can you let us all know what basically white is? I mean, what is basically white as opposed to complexly white?
Well, it's funny because you mentioned that because I'm part Armenian, so
Okay.
I have kind of a Middle Eastern look.
Okay, Kim Kardashian, but I mean, you're white.
Yeah, more or less. Although
you're not the favorites. You're not the favorites. No, you're not the favorites.
It's funny. It reminds me of the Chappelle show, the racial draft. It's like we got picked in the white draft a long time ago.
Yeah. You're not the favorites now. You're the guys who ride the bench. Nobody wants to really claim you. So it's you're in that situation where the Irish and the Italians were 100 years ago. That's where you all, the Turks, that's where you all are right now.
We're good for to pad the numbers,
Oh yeah. That's your purpose. Is okay. Look here, when it's time to jump on the black folk, we need y'all to get on code. Thanks for helping us thanks for helping us Aryans and Anglos win the election. Now get your Armenian ass back at the back of the bus. So yeah, when you're useful, you get accepted as white, and as soon as you've outlived your usefulness, okay, back to the back of the bus. So I figure you all are gonna have to deal with this for about another 100 years, and then they'll let you in.
Sorry, man. Just after 9/11, at least on the visual basis, everything changed for folks like in any way Middle Eastern looking.
Well, I mean, look,
which is,
Kim has helped you. Kim has helped you all along a lot. So she certainly has helped. For the dudes, it doesn't help you all as much. You don't get that treatment there. But Kim has kind of done a lot to help raise the stock. But outside of that, it's like they're having a hard time digesting you. But I'm pretty sure you're going to get your in this century. You're going to get your in. And then you'll be right there with the Greeks. You'll be right there with the Greeks and Latinos by the end of this century.
Yeah, we get a pass in certain situations.
Certain situations.
Definitely. Not always at the airport.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Yeah, they're gonna get their pass and they'll get their card to be let in at the end of the century. It's gonna be begrudging. It's gonna be begrudging when they get let in. It's like, damn, the Armenians. It's going to be that. But see, they're already letting y'all get all the marijuana licenses out there in California. So they're already setting you up. They're already setting you up and getting you in position. So don't worry. Mark my words, by the end of this century, we won't be here. But whoever is listening to this in 100 years, go ahead and let them know, hey, they were talking about this back in 2024. That they were going to get their in. Yep. Let me get caller from area code 951. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's Sean from Temecula, California.
All right, Sean from Temecula. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I wanted you to speak on the psyche of how the non-blacks are able to be fans and yet still hate at the same time. Like the Mexicans in Southern Cal, back in the day in high school, they will bang on or say Alpha Negroes, but they'll wear a Jerry Rice jersey and be bumping Tupac at the same time. So, like, and then as you say with the Boston Celtics, I mean, it's 11 black players on there, but yet the fans still hating on the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm very glad you brought that up because I did mean to speak about this earlier. Folks, so what bothers me about this picture, and this picture on your screen right here, this is the one that bothered me, the one with Tatum standing in front of the crowd, and you see this right here. they're young and they're old and they're casually dressed and this, that, and the other, and the announcers and things. And it's nothing but to see a white folk there. And what I'm saying is, isn't this interesting? Nobody's giving them the Floyd Mayweather treatment. What? Now, ain't that interesting? Now, when they show up for a Floyd Mayweather fight, they don't give a damn where the other person is from, Mexico, Ireland, whatever. The white folks show up and don't cheer for the American. All of a sudden, being American doesn't mean anything. So I couldn't help but notice that, by the way, the Boston Celtics, they're not getting the Floyd Mayweather treatment. What happened to the Floyd Mayweather treatment? They're not getting that. So, look, that's what you're dealing with here. This is about power dynamics. This is about power dynamics. And if these black men actually were exercising real power in these situations, you wouldn't be seeing the reaction that you're seeing. You wouldn't be seeing it at all. It wouldn't look like that. It looks like what it does because the so-called fans know that they're safely controlled. So they can feel safe doing that. The other thing is what they've done is they set themselves up as safe. I mean, let's just be very, very clear. You got young white women sitting up here cheering for these dudes. And you know what goes down in the locker rooms after the games. And yet you don't see that energy out there right now. So what I'm saying is they feel safe with them in this environment under these circumstances. Brother Neely Fuller has always talked about, even in the area of sexual activity, it's the white woman who's in control. So because she might not have as much money as him, but money does not give you power. Her whiteness gives her much more power than your bank account does. And that also goes for all the other groups as well. So the ones who are white or white adjacent. So they know their place in the pecking order and they're upholding it in that regard. So you're useful as the designated entertainment. That's your job. You're the designated entertainment. You have quote unquote power on that basketball court and nowhere else. The second that you are not on that basketball court, you just another nigga. And that's why they're so comfortable with it. If it was real power, they would be very uncomfortable with what they were seeing. They'd be very uncomfortable if you had any real power. But you're safely confined there as the entertainment. You're quote unquote protected on the court as the entertainment. But everybody knows that's all arbitrary. You're only protected, even on the court, to the extent they say you are. And that can be revoked at any time, including on the court. You better not go rough up a white man out there or somebody who's white adjacent. You better not do that. So you're safely controlled. So it's safe to cheer for you under these circumstances if they want to, because in reality, in their minds, they're not cheering for you, they're cheering for themselves. Those folk don't think they're cheering for Tatum. They're cheering for Boston. And we've given you enough money. You're supposed to you're a racehorse. You are a racehorse. When you are a black professional athlete, you're a racehorse. People don't form close personal bonds to a racehorse or a race car. The first time you go out there and you break a leg, you get put down. As soon as you cannot perform, you find out immediately they don't have any emotional attachment to you. You're gone. You're done. Right here, right now. You were planning out the next 3 seasons. That now you don't have to plan out tomorrow. You don't even have to plan out tomorrow morning. You're done. Just that quickly, unceremoniously, without remorse, without apology. That's what it means to be one of the heroes of the plantation. You're just a racehorse. And these people love you as much as you can love a racehorse that you're betting on, or a greyhound in the dog races that you're betting on. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. So if you want to know why all these groups who are usually throwing racial epithets and whatnot, is how do they stop it long enough? What is the psychological thing they're telling themselves? What they're telling themselves is you're the designated racehorse tonight. That's what you are. You're the designated racehorse. Caller from area code 405. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi, this is Mona, and I'm calling from Baltimore.
All right, Mona from Baltimore. What's on your mind?
Hi. Okay, so I was listening to the conversation, and I just wanted to add a different perspective. It doesn't necessarily have to do with Boston. However, Oklahoma City, as some of y'all may have heard the story, they're a smaller market team. However, they had a player named Josh Giddey who was pretty young, and he had some accusations in California, basically for child offenses, minor offenses, and things like that. And he was under investigation. The team stood by him. He never got benched, anything like that. However, a lot of people may have heard about Kevin Porter Jr., who is on the Houston Rockets team, and he got accused of beating up his girlfriend, and that crime was in New York. She recanted. However, they still went along with it, and he ended up pleading guilty. So the irony is Houston traded him to Oklahoma City, and they immediately waived him. So I just find it weird that, and I tried to go, because I studied the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, and you're technically not supposed to acquire a player just to waive them. So I've been trying to figure out how they got through that loophole. However, they
We're
did.
white
That
and we
young man,
say so.
That
That's the ultimate
life.
the ultimate loophole. We're white and we say so.
Yes, because I've thoroughly looked for how this happened, but that young man, he ended up, I don't know if I said it, his girlfriend recanted. She said that it didn't happen. It didn't matter. He had to fight and ended up playing in Greece, and he just got signed. So Boston's a big one, and they have a long history, but it's sad that
Okay, now wait, hold on a second.
Markets,
Are you saying that he played in Greece, that he just got signed in Greece, or he was playing in Greece and just got signed back to the NBA?
No. He's they basically kicked him out of the NBA. He was in the NBA. He's a much better player.
Right. That's what I was saying. I'm pretty sure. I know that person you're talking about. I didn't hear about him coming back to the league, although I wasn't really watching either. But we did hear about. I'm pretty sure folks have kind of heard about that story. But yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. And here's why: the players' associations and the players' unions, they need to be stomped down about that. Let me tell you all something right now. They need to be 10 toes down for the players, like the dominant society is for the police. Damn! I said it. If you know that that's the game they're playing, that if somebody makes a bogus accusation and they're not even going to be required to stand by that or whatever, I'm like, okay, that gives anybody the opportunity to revoke your damn rights, revoke your presence in the NBA. No, they need to be, the players' unions and the players' associations need to be standing by them players the same way the dominant society does by the police. We've investigated ourselves and we found no wrongdoing. If you ain't got it on video or a tape confession, get out of our face. Now that's real power right there. When you just say, yeah, we're not even going to entertain anything. We're not going to entertain it. We're not even going to talk about it. If you ain't got it on videotape or something, forget about it. It didn't happen. Because you see, that's what they tell you at your job. I worked at the largest corporations in this country, and that's what we were told. If you didn't document it, it didn't happen. In other words, if you don't have hard evidence, it didn't happen. Okay, then these players' associations need to be treating all this the exact same damn way. Do you got hard evidence? No, then it didn't happen. Bye.
All right.
Because that's what happens when you're black. As a black female, if you tried that with a white man, they would shut you down immediately. If you don't if you don't have hard evidence, anybody listen to you? You go try to go derail them. Nobody's listening to you. Try it. Yes, even for that white baseball player, they found out that chick was sitting up here lying and whatnot, and I think they're trying to arrest her. Okay. Try to get the white girls arrested. See what happens. Ain't that right, Michael Irvin? I'll let you have the last word.
Well, yeah, that was all I wanted to put out there is it's just like it sucks because you try and basically make it make sense in your mind, and it comes down to what it is, and it's just that's really how America is. You know, it sucks, but
I mean, look, we
really
can't be
appreciate
soft shoe about this. We can't be soft. We can't be bashful. We can't be shy about this. If we gonna protect ourselves, we're gonna have. Everybody wants to talk about reparations and, you know, giving us exemptions. I'm like, hey, here's an exemption you need to have. Here's an exemption you need to have. It's like, okay, you just one accusation away. Okay, then we need to say first in order of business, yeah, we don't deal with accusations. We don't care what it is. We don't deal with that. So we're exempt from that. Now that you know that's the game they're going to play, you're going to have to raise the value. Okay, a woman making her word, that's not going to work. No, that doesn't carry any weight here. That's the hill you got to stand on in that regard, because that's damn sure what they do for the owners of the teams. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Thank you for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Taking a look at our crowdfunding here for 8 a.m. also. Thank you all very much. I see folks have been supporting us tonight here. Who's going to put us over 53 tonight? Who's going to put us over 53? Let me see something. Let me get called from area code 267. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason, this is MB calling from Philly.
All right, MB from Philadelphia. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. Wanted to talk on, it's a great broadcast, by the way, especially such a pop tone, yet such a great topic. One thing, if I could possibly touch on a couple things, one thing that really hit me when I seen the two best players, Tatum, being emotional when that final buzzer ring, and Jaylen Brown as he hoisted the Finals MVP award, was seeing these Boston fans yell. And I remember, when they took repeated playoff L's the past few years, I've heard a lot of people, including some Boston fans, say, we got to split these two guys up or whatever. We're not going to never win a championship with these two guys as teammates. Their games is too similar, or so on and so forth. And I'm like, y'all kind of can. I'm not trying to, I'm a Sixers fan, so I don't want to keep those two guys myself. But they're Boston fans that was saying, we got to split the two guys up. And these happen to be, for whatever it's worth, two foundational brothers who are some of the most dynamic 1-2 punches in the league. So, when Boston was then showing love that they finally pulled it off, I'm just kind of looking at this kind of phony, like, yeah, some of y'all were kind of wanting them, didn't think they could get it done. So some of y'all looking fuss about this, man. So that was one thing right there that came to mind.
Well, meanwhile,
also,
Travis Kelce can sit up here and shove the damn coach of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, pretty much. And the other thing, because you talked about the dynamics of how some guys are pretty much vetted into the league, whether NBA or NFL, as yes men that go along with it. Two guys that I'm really rooting for, because they've kind of been more so standing on business, not caring who they piss off, or the first pick in the NFL draft, Caleb Williams, who pissed off a lot of people when he said, hey, man, if I live up to the hype, I would love to think about getting ownership sometime, some partial ownership on the team. And people were not liking that. And then there's Marvin Harrison Jr., son of Hall of Fame receiver Marvin Harrison, and he's been pissing off a lot of people because he basically is working to control his image likeness. He's not signing certain preliminary deals, and he basically pissed off the people commenting of certain people saying, oh, he's going to be a troublemaker and this and that. And I'm like, he's really grinding toward his, leveraging things for his favor. He's betting on himself, and nobody's liking that though, and that's why I'm kind of rooting for brothers like that who is really trying to handle their business, and especially given the fact that Marvin Harrison Jr. has a father who is basically guiding him and saying, we're not signing that paperwork for your image likeness. We're going to try and leverage for more money down the road or whatever. So I just find it interesting when you have brothers trying to leverage things or thinking bigger than.
Well, I would like to see them do more than just that, though, because if you're going to get in a position like that, when you hear folk acting this way and disrespecting and whatnot, that's the time to sit up here and put the smack down on them. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller area code 908. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Name is Omar. I'm from Trenton, New Jersey.
All right, Omar from Trenton, New Jersey. What's on your mind?
First, before you attack me, I am a Boston Celtics fan. I am a Boston Celtics fan. I'm proud my team won.
Okay, why would anybody attack you for being a Boston Celtics fan? I'm not the basketball. I'm not the basketball fan at all. So believe me, I got no dog in the fight.
Okay, first of all, I will say this. Do I feel there's some privileges that has been given to mostly all Boston teams? Yes. Let me explain. 2 points. First, we got Drew Holiday for literally nothing. Like, they just traded him and just gave him to us. And this is a good player. He won last year with Milwaukee. Joe Embiid had to get on Twitter saying, yo, are you trying to give these individuals a championship? Like, why would you do that? And then the second one is, and I got to say this, Jason, because it hasn't been brought up, because we've been talking about the Boston Celtics for the whole time, but no one has brought this up yet. The New England Patriots, they cheated 4 out of their 6 championships?
Probably more than that.
And the NFL never took them championships away. They never did it. No, they cheated. And they took, we don't want to endanger the integrity of the game. Please. If there was any other team, if there was the Cleveland Browns, the Baltimore Ravens, the Jacksonville Jaguars, hell, if it was the San Francisco 49ers, who was my team, yes, they would have did it to us too. But they can't, because we won ours fair and square. Patriot fans.
No.
You don't have to put an asterisk to
ours. No, they weren't. They're not going to take any championship from any team. They're not going. It doesn't matter who the team is. I mean, they're not going to take a championship from any of those teams. They're not going to do that unless they're. The only way they're going to take a championship from a team is unless there's some sort of federal investigation or something. Feds come sniffing around. Yeah, but that's not a special dispensation for New England. This is the league. These are white. I mean, Jerry, do you think they're going to take a championship from Jerry Jones? Hell no. Think they're going to take a championship from Joe Montana? Hell no. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen. And that's why, tell me one team that's ever had a championship taken from them for any reason. Take a look at baseball. We had a full-blown steroids era. No question about that. A full-blown era of steroid, about 10 years, which really still continues to this day. But in any case, a full-blown steroids era. They haven't taken anybody's championships. They haven't written down anybody's records. Unless somebody's going to inform me of something I don't know about, they haven't taken any championships. They haven't written down anybody's records. Why? They made hella money. They made hella money. They made hella cash off of that. You're not going to get them to... No, they're not going to take anybody's championship from them unless it's like the White Sox scandal and the feds get involved and the government gets involved. They would have far too much to lose. You snatch a championship and that would take away from the integrity of the game.
That's the travesty. That is just a travesty. One more thing, Jason, I want to say. Tomorrow, I'm going to the NJ Reparations Council for New Jersey. I'm going in there. I'm going to film it. I'm going to find out what they're talking about. I'm going to be stopping for reparations to get our paycheck. They're real slick because not a lot of people knows that there's a reparations council going on tomorrow in Fort New Jersey because they saw what's going on in California. So I'm going to be one of the people there. If so, I'll try to give you the video of what happened, or I'll just let you know. Either I'll get it to your email, or I'll just let you know next program of what happened.
Okay, you can definitely let us know.
I'll post on your Facebook or something like that. I don't know.
Okay, we can do that. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Let me get caller from area code 774. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Bobby, Boston.
All right, Bobby in Boston, what's on your mind?
So I caught the program late, and I typed into the comment section what is wrong with, being a Celtics fan, or what did the Celtics do wrong? And one of your mods, just recommended that I call in. So I guess my question, and part of me, this is my first time calling into any show ever, but my question is, I'm FBA all day, and I'm from Boston. I'm a Celtics fan, and I wear a Celtics hat. I drive around with the green Celtics jersey in my truck. Is it off code for me to be a Celtics fan?
Okay, let's try this. Let's try this a different way here. How many of the games have you been to?
I haven't been to a game probably in over a decade.
Okay. I'm pretty sure you are aware that the Boston Celtics fans have a internationally notorious reputation for practicing white supremacy, which is what I've covered during the previous hour and 50 minutes. I've only been detailing it for the last hour and 50 minutes, so I'm pretty sure if you're that big of a fan, you're very, very well aware of that.
Can I be very honest with you, Jason?
Okay, well, stop. Before we go any further there, you claim that you're a very 10 toes down, deep in the paint, heavy in the wood Boston Celtics fan. Okay, then if you are, then you're also aware of that part, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm just curious. If you are aware of that, then can you please tell me where the point of agreement is between you and the white supremacists wearing the jerseys and wearing the hats and showing up every game yelling nigga, nigga, nigga? I would just like to know where the camaraderie is or where the connection is between you two.
I would say there's no connection between me and the nigga, nigga, nigga.
But there is. But there is. Well, slow down now. But there is, because I just named that. So what I'm saying is you and they have that in common. That is the connection. So I'll try it again. Did you notice that you and these white supremacists are both wearing the same colors, wearing the same cap, stomping for the same team, and both talking the same way, except when it comes to the nigga part? And what I'm saying is, so what is it that you both find equally attractive that has you in the company of folks yelling nigga, nigga, nigga?
The nigga, nigga, nigga part, I don't have anything in common with it, but it is, I guess, the competition. I get what I do understand what you're saying, and if I can be very honest with you for 2 seconds, I might indulge. I don't indulge in a nigga, nigga, nigga part, but as Kyrie Irving, for instance, I don't say F Kyrie Irving, but, I don't want him to win. I want him, I want him to lose as bad as he can possibly lose. I know, I look at the crowd. We know it's all white people in the crowd. I'm from Massachusetts. I know who owns those tickets. I know who has all the, the season tickets. I'm as harsh. I am as harsh as those racist people, right? I'm not racist. I'm FBA all day. But yeah, Jason, you're right. You're right. I'm hardcore, just like every Boston fan. I'm just as hardcore. I don't feel the same way as those white fans feel. But when it comes to competition, I don't know. Maybe
he says he doesn't feel the way they feel, and what I'm saying is, okay, I'm not doubting you or disputing that. I'm just saying, by the way, brother, did you take a look at the company you keep in?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm not disputing. Yeah. I'm not disputing what your favorite basketball player is. What I'm saying is that the fact that this is a Celtics situation doesn't happen in a vacuum. Now, let me go ahead and address the fans that you were just talking about there. Although in my world, you can't be white supremacist and be a fan of something. You're a white supremacist. You're not a fan. You're just a hate group. But what I will say is I'm not holding their whiteness against them. The fact that they are white and ticket holders, that's not the issue. The issue isn't are you white and ticket holders. The issue is are you white supremacists and ticket holders. Now that's where we cross a line. It's like, wait a minute. We're supposed to be here for a basketball game, and yet the so-called basketball games for the Boston Celtics really just turn out being Ku Klux Klan rallies on a consistent basis. It's not a fluke. This is what people expect when they go to Boston. So that's not a fluke no more. That's not, oh, this is just an anomaly. Nah, this is what they do.
Yeah.
So if you're wearing those colors and you repping that flag right alongside them, it's like, wait a minute now. Well, how are me and them sitting in the same place and so comfortable? It's not in a vacuum. It can't be.
Okay. I don't want to cut you off. I got one last question when you're done, brother.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I've noticed that you call the Celtics. I'm from Boston. We pronounce it the Celtics, and I'm noticing that you're saying the Celtics, and I understand it's probably the proper pronunciation. Why, if you can explain, why are you calling the team the Celtics rather than the Celtics?
Because that is their name, and that's the proper way to announce it. The team is named after the Celts. So when you take it, if you go look for Celts, Celts, go take a look at any documentary, any anthropology. It's pronounced Celts. They are the Boston, from the Celtic tribe. They are the Boston Celts. So, like I say, look, I mean, language is language, and throughout human history, language has gotten corrupted. It's what happens. It comes from one place to another. Celtic is not an American English term. It's an Irish English term. So language gets corrupted, but one of the things in particular, in this case, that's one of them. So it's actually pronounced Celt. The Celtics from the Celt as opposed to Celtics. But at this point right here, like I say, it's just... I'm not going to go around it. I won't bash anybody over it and stuff, but if anybody cares, it's Celtic. If anybody cares. Which is probably going to change absolutely nothing, but if anybody wants to know what the name is, it's Celtics.
And one last question, and I'm pretty secure in where I stand as far as my lineage. Is it off code to represent the Celtics, being that I'm from Massachusetts?
What I'm going to tell you is that I think you should be aware, because think about this for a few moments. Is it off code for you to be waving an American flag on July 4th?
Is that a question?
Yes, sir. I don't ask rhetorical questions. Would it be off code for you to wave an American flag on July 4th?
As far as July 4th, I would say I don't have an answer for that, but I'm a homeowner, and I'm
FBA, Jason. I'm FBA all day.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
I wave I wave an American flag in front of my home.
How long were you in the military?
No, sir. No, we built this country. I'm proud. I'm FBA. This is something that we built, and I'm even more proud. Come on, FBAs. You got all these tethers trying to claim all of our culture.
Right, sir. But that wasn't what I asked. I asked about would it be off code for you on July 4th for you to be telling everybody I'm a proud American and waving the American flag on July 4th? Would that be on code or off code?
It would be off code, but I have a FBA flag.
Okay, slow down. He's explaining. But what I'm saying is, you just said it would be off code. But sir, are you not an American citizen?
I am an American citizen. Yeah.
Okay. So then why would it be off code for you to be displaying and bragging the American flag?
It's not off code for me. No.
You're saying, okay, he just said it was. Now, first he said it wasn't, then he said it was. Now he's saying it's not. So, sir, will you please pick one?
I'm still here. It would not be off code for me to represent the American flag. My ancestors built this country.
Okay, sir, but your ancestors did not build July 4th.
Right.
And your ancestors did not build the American flag as associated with July 4th and Independence Day. They didn't do that.
Probably not.
Probably nothing. They didn't do that. And would it be off code for you to be waving the American flag celebrating Independence Day, July 4th?
It depends on who I was around, honestly.
Sir,
it depends on who I was.
July 4th is Independence Day. So you would be celebrating a freedom that black people did not have.
It's just
that's my point. That's my point is when your white neighbors wave the flag celebrating July 4th, well, that makes sense. I can see the point of commonality between all of them. But if I see you doing it, then I have to ask, wait a minute, what does that flag mean to them that means the same thing to you? Because if this is for independence, you're celebrating a freedom and an independence that you didn't even have? How, Sway? How?
So, okay, can I answer, Sway? So if I were around a bunch of white folk on Independence Day, I probably wouldn't wave that flag. But if I were around a bunch of tethers who just came here the other day, I would wave that flag just to show them, listen, I'm not new here. All right, this is more my country than this is your country.
Right, sir, but in the context I just gave you, though, I mean, not in this other context, in the context I just gave you.
Okay, no. On Independence Day, around a whole bunch of those folk, no, sir, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. And I never have done that. For the record.
Okay, and there's my whole point is because that flag doesn't mean for them what it means for you. Because these things have a history. You cannot, these symbols have a history, but so do the people displaying them. And if you look up and you find yourself in a room full of white supremacists and they're all very, very enthusiastic about wearing the Boston Celtics, who are a white tribe, which, by the way, that shouldn't be lost on anybody. So all these white supremacists love this team that's got a bunch, draws this history from some white folk there. Yes. I know there's some nuances, but people, this is what they attaching it to now. So yes, I know what folks are going to say about Black Irish. I get it. No, that's not what these folks are doing. So let's not get lost. That's what they're doing. And I'm saying if you find yourself in the same room with them, do you recognize that that's the similarity between, it would be the same as if you're wearing that American flag on Independence Day? And then saying, oh, but it means something different for me than it does for them. And what I'm saying is, I couldn't help but notice you're in some pretty questionable company there. And what I'm saying is, do we allow our quote unquote love of sports to cause us to respond in that manner? That we start overlooking these things and dismissing it and whatnot, because I'm just saying, at the end of the day, there must be something about that Celtics uniform that all these white supremacists who made the team, you did not make the team, you were not a part of making the team, you have no standing in making the team. Y'all are the hired help. Black folk are the hired help on the team, so you can't even make the American origin argument. You can't even make the foundational argument with the Celtics. You can't even make that argument here. So these white folk built the team. They made the team. They created the team. They own the team. They're selling the team. They're selling the tickets for it. And they're all saying that to them, this is nigga uniform. And what I'm saying is, by the way, you can wear whatever you like to, sir. But I just consider that to be curious, that if I'm around all these people and for them, when they put on that jersey, it represents nigga, nigga, nigga time. I just couldn't help but notice that. I wonder if there's something to it. That jersey, that team, and that white supremacist element going hand in hand, I wonder if there's something to it. I'll let you have the last word.
My last word will be a question. So would any FBA wearing a Celtics jersey, would he be considered off code?
I think that's a question you all need to start asking. Why don't you go to a game and look around at your fellow Boston Celtics fans as they hurl their racial epithets, and then you realize how many of them there are, and then ask yourself, am I a Boston Celtics fan?
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, TBA. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Shout out to my man, Cornell Sly. Thank you very much for contributing to the nice program there on the Super Chat. Great broadcast. Keep it coming, JB. Absolutely, we'll do that. Black Powder Podcast, thank you very much for becoming a member of the channel here tonight. We appreciate that as well. Look here, folks. I'm not here to tell you what to do about that. I'm just here to bring a little something to your attention. I'm just here to bring something to your attention. And by the way, you did hear me say there's a whole bunch of white supremacists here, and they real big on sporting this jersey. And by the way, they made the jersey. You didn't have anything to do with that. So the folks who made it are showing up and saying nigga, nigga, nigga. And I'm just saying, and you're sitting right there next to them. Well, we Celtics fans. And that's just something to ask yourself. Call from America 617. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Call from America 617. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
All right, Call from America 617 has been abducted. Call from America 646. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's Onan X calling from Queens. What's up, Jason?
All right, Onan from Queens. What's on your mind?
So there's a book that I read maybe about 10 years ago, but it was called The $40 Million Slave by Bill Roden. And it goes over basically the phenomenon of the American athlete and how the American athlete is basically used. If you look at going to the Celtics, Bill Russell, right? Bill Russell, this man was so talented that he garnered the Boston Celtics 11 championships. You know, I don't have to go over the accolades of Bill Russell. I mean, the guy's a phenomenon, but even for someone who's that talented, and the people of Boston took it upon themselves to vandalize this man's home and defecate in his bed, and I think in his daughter's bed too. And I think it just illustrates the point of how the fan just sees black players as nothing more than tools. You know, we're just like temporary racehorses that we're just supposed to give everything we got, you know, for the amount of money that we're being paid. And, you know, whatever happens to us after the fact, you know, it is what it is. But, it doesn't change the way that they look at us racially. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Well, you know, what you just pointed out is the same thing I was just sitting here trying to articulate to the previous caller. You're calling yourselves all basketball fans, but what these folks here are showing you is that this is bigger than basketball to them. Now, you're standing in an arena and you gonna say it's just a basketball game. That's very interesting because the folks who made the team and all these other folks up here, well, this is bigger than basketball to them. So why is that? Now, that's the question you need to be asking yourself is, by the way, while you try to diminish this to just be, it's just a basketball game. That's interesting. It's never been just a basketball game to them. This is bigger than basketball to them. Can you afford to treat this like it's just basketball when all these other folks out here are committing crimes and felonies? This ain't a basketball game to them.
Yeah, it goes further than that. You know, I believe it's more of an industry. You know, like let's say for LeBron James, if you take LeBron James in Cleveland, for instance, there was an entire industry built up around, you know, LeBron James being in Cleveland and, you know, it just the crowd draw that he brought, all the financial windfall that a LeBron James would bring to Cleveland or Kobe Bryant to Los Angeles. But it demonstrates the point that black athletes are useful to their city or their team for the amount of time being, you know, but once that passes, it's like we just go back to being niggas.
The second that you put in the winning basket in the game, the second that you put the winning basket and they ring the final buzzer, your usefulness to them ended right then, right there. You are the designated entertainment, and as soon as they blow that buzzer, your usefulness as the designated entertainment just expired. Right there. Right then, right there. You're done right here. You don't even make it to the locker room. You're done. You've served your usefulness. We can go back to practicing hardcore white supremacy now.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that'll ever change?
Hell no.
Like, do you think there'll ever be no? Okay.
Sir, I mean, look, people, the silliest thing in the world is when some jackass tries to call you up and talk about, if black folk did things differently, we get treated differently. We were in chattel slavery on the damn plantations. You don't have somebody who is more controlled than that. And what they were treating us the same. So the only thing that's been consistent is our blackness. This isn't about, quote, behavior. This is about what you are, not what you're, quote, doing. So that was the way it was when they were a minority. And please remember, in several states, they were a minority. Georgia, South Carolina, Mississippi, and the slave states, they were a minority. We were a majority of the population in those places. How were they treating us when they were the minority? Hell, how do they treat us today in the places where they're minorities? Our treatment by them has been consistent. If you're in a 90% black city, you get treated the same. And if you're in a 90% white city, you get treated the same. So, no, white supremacy does not rely on numbers, not population numbers. Never has, never will.
Okay. All right, well, I'll leave it at that. I'm not much of a sports fan, so, you know, I'm not going to take too much time, but B1, brother.
B1, thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Yeah, I mean, look here. It's just like if Boston turned around tomorrow was a majority black city, the white fans would still show up and do the same thing. Hell, they'd probably be more virulent about it because they'd be lamenting we used to have the whole team here. Used to call y'all niggas. Now, would they be taking their lives in their hands? Probably, but no, because that's more important to them. That's the point you got to understand. This is more important to them. This is bigger than basketball. It's bigger than football. It's bigger than golf. It's bigger than tennis. It's bigger than NASCAR. You think this is tonight's entertainment. No, this is a white supremacist ritual. This is a white supremacist ritual. And it does not mean the same thing to them that it means to you. To go back to the point of this here before, this is like when you have a white woman with a fetish who gets into bed with a black male, or a white man with a fetish who gets into bed with a black female. This is not about who got the best sex game and who can provide the best orgasms or the best thrill. That person getting into bed with you, we having sex, it doesn't mean the same thing to them that it means to you. They're here for something different. There might be sexual intercourse that takes place, but that's not what they're here for. And then you get shocked and surprised when you have a Sarah Palin. Didn't we used to sleep with her 20 years ago? Now she's passing laws against you. Now she's conspiring with folks to pass laws against you. Clearly, those sexual adventures did not mean the same thing to you that it did to her. She is saying, I'm just a visitor for entertainment purposes. And that's not really what you're there for. You're not telling yourself when you get out this bed, you're going to go make some laws against her. That's not crossing your mind. Call America 707. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Long live Dylan Roof, blowing those old black bitches' brains out. Jason Black, you're a pedophile. You're a
little late for that, sir, don't you think? Caller from Area Code 214, you're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you're on live. What is your name? Where you calling from?
Quentin from Dallas, Texas.
Okay, Quentin from Dallas, what's on your mind?
Just to kind of piggyback off the question of, excuse me, the question of if wearing a Celtics jersey is being on code. To me, I think the similarities are, I see similarities with the whole FBA thing. And the reason why I say that is I think the same way we can criticize the previous caller for possibly being a part of something that represents white supremacy, is the same way that sometimes unintentionally we can find ourselves being proud of being American when American represents the same thing: white supremacy, imperialism, colonization, and all that. So I think things like that we have to be, I guess, a little more cautious of. You know what I'm saying? And I guess
I'm not really sure what you mean, sir. What exactly do you mean?
As far as what?
I'm having some difficulty following you here. I mean, I'm not quite certain what your point is.
To me, I'm saying to me the same way that you mentioned to the previous caller that wearing a Celtics jersey isn't necessarily being on code, is to me the same way I find similarities with the FBA movement, because I think there's a righteousness to it. I think black people feel a claim to this land, but in the same breath, I think there shouldn't necessarily be pride in also attaching your blackness to America, because the same way that Celtics jersey might represent something else is the same way the concept of America represents something else. And I don't think that's something we should necessarily attach ourselves to.
Okay. Well, certainly, I don't think you see anybody trying to attach themselves, for example, to the United States Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, the War for Independence. So all of these hallmark things that created America, show me where you see folks on our side trying to make an attachment to that.
I think it's the same. I think it's the same thing with the caller, though. I don't think he's attaching himself to white supremacy. He's just attaching himself to a team. So yeah, same way someone might not.
No, sir.
Be,
no, that's no, sir.
That's the similarities.
No, sir.
I don't
No,
see
sir.
anybody-
I'm correcting you. No, sir. You are mistaken. You are
Well,
wrong. You are in error.
It's
You're
an opinion.
incorrect.
It's an opinion.
Okay, well, I'm correcting your opinion, sir, because there's opinions, but then there's facts. What you just said might be an opinion. Cool. It's also wrong. So
Subjectivity
what?
isn't a
Okay,
fact.
sir.
You feel some way. I feel
Okay,
some way.
sir.
That's not a fact.
Sir, no. Math is a fact. It's not an opinion. Now, what you would have to do for those two examples you just gave to be congruent, look it up. For you to give those examples to be able to be compatible with each other, well, you would have to show where we were trying to attach ourselves to the people. Now that's where you would have to show that similarity, because if you say you're a Boston Celtics fan and the white supremacists over there say, yes, we're Boston Celtics fans. Well, that's you saying that you two are compatible. You're stating a specific similarity. We can sit up here and say that we're foundational people without us saying we're Americans.
Repeat that last part. I'm sorry.
Yeah, y'all. Now he's getting hard to hear, and he's like, "Ooh, didn't know that." Yes, it's called logic, sir.
No, I'm not getting hard.
The white supremacists who say that they're Celtics fans. He's sitting there saying he's black and he's a Celtics fan. We're at no time have we tried to identify ourselves with the people who call themselves Americans. As a matter of fact, we have made a conscious effort.
Gotcha.
The reason why we put a qualifier on it, foundational, freedmen, descendants of the slaves, we put a qualifier on there specifically to distinguish ourselves. That's not what he's doing. He's saying that he's assimilated himself. We're all Celtics fans. It's just basketball, to which we say we're not all Americans. It's not just a flag.
I think it's the same way someone can say, like the politics you just described, like the whole, it might be deeper than just liking the team. I think you can ask an average black Celtics fan, like, and they'll just be like, I just like the Celtics because I grew up on Larry Bird. I like the Celtics because I grew up on Glenn Bias, or whatever the case may be. I don't think it's always necessarily the white supremacist point that you're making, even though I understand that talking point. And I that's why I paralleled it to the FBA thing. From what you're saying is that it's not necessarily, you're making a clear distinction of we're not attaching ourselves to the Constitution and whatever, but nonetheless, we are still American. Is that correct?
Okay, sir. I am an American to the extent that my Americanness is honored. Please show me where my Americanness is honored.
Well, your Americanness is what's that last one? I'm sorry.
Now he's hard to hear it again. He's like, ooh, hell, didn't know the logic was coming. Sir, when has our Americanness been honored?
Right. I'm not because
okay, so that's a simple question, sir. You said, well, we are Americans, are we not? To which I said, I am an American to the extent that my Americanness is honored. Please tell me where my Americanness is being honored.
Where your Americanness is being, you said hung, H-U-N-G?
Honored.
I promise I'm trying to.
Honored, sir. Who is honoring my Americanness?
Honored. Okay, got you. You said, where's your Americanness being honored? If I'm trying to understand that question, I guess you're saying like, how has America honored black people, or in this case, foundational Black Americans. Is that what I'm getting from the?
If you are going to say we are, sir, these are your words. You said we're Americans, aren't we? And my response to that is, I am an American only to the extent that you are honoring my Americanness. So you now need to. If you're going to claim that, hey, you're an American, aren't you? Please tell me, fourth time, where is my Americanness being honored?
No. I'm not saying your Americanness is, and that's why.
Right. When you say you're an American, sir, when you say those words, well, you're an American, aren't you? That's my response.
I guess what I'm referring to is the FBA move. It might not even necessarily be you, but usually I see with the FBA movement, there's extra emphasis on the American part.
Okay, sir. Here's the logical break. Here's the logical breakdown here. Okay, you can't claim to be a Boston Celtics fan when you're getting called nigga by a whole damn arena of Boston Celtics fans. You're the black person, and you're getting called nigga by all the other Boston Celtics fans. Very clearly, they don't consider you to be a Boston Celtics fan. Very clearly, they see you as something. Clearly, they see you as something else.
And that's the parallel I'm making with the FBA thing. Like, yes, you have ancestry. Well, yeah, you have ancestry that has lived here, been here, whatever. But
where is that accent from? Where's that accent from?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, you're not that dense. Where's your accent from, sir?
Where is my accent? I moved around a lot.
Yeah, the folks listening on YouTube, you all don't hear me you don't hear him as clearly as I do. I hear an accent, sir.
What point does it make of me having an accent?
There you go. Because that would explain why you're harping on this same thing. It's all been very clearly explained to you, and yet you're still trying to argue about it. So there's something else you're trying to do right now.
I mean, we can.
You're not trying to get facts, and you're not trying to get clarity. You've already been given that, and yet you're still trying to make this false equivalence that's already been explained to you why it's not equivalent, and yet you're still claiming it's the same. And we just explained to you several times why it isn't. But you want it to be. You want it to be so badly. So I'm saying, okay, I hear an accent which would explain why you want this thing that's just got explained to you that's not it, but you want it to be so badly.
What accent are you hearing that would? I'm not sure what conclusion you're trying to make.
Folks, where did Botham Jean live? For anybody who wonders about those things, by the way, where did Botham Jean live?
And maybe. Let's rewind because I didn't get your name, and I do want to make this clear that I am coming on with good faith.
Okay, sir. Good faith. Good faith is when something's been explained to you, it's been articulated to you. I'm pretty sure that you understand the English language very well enough to understand that. Sir, it was explained to you what the difference is. Now, I just explained to you about how we distinguish ourselves. Now, are you going to accept that your statement trying to make us assimilated is not true and we've distinguished ourselves? Or are you still trying to argue that that is not what has occurred?
How can you disassociate or
do you all see what you just did?
Disassociate yourself from America, but at the same time, in the name of FPA, is American. I guess I don't necessarily understand that talking point that that movement necessarily makes, and I can see it sometimes as limiting, especially when we talk about broader issues that affect black people domestically and abroad.
There you go. So in case you all want to,
like I said,
they always try to play dumb about that. I hear an accent. What accent? I ain't got no accent. But by the way, we should be concerned about black folk in America and abroad. Okay, all right. There he goes. We are all in this together.
I think we're
all right. For anybody who's wondering, I told you all, you don't hear his voice as clearly as I do. That's what I'm saying. I hear that accent. There it is. Now there's the confirmation of it. Now there it is. They never stand by, by the way. They all sit around cowering. They never just stand by and just come out and say what they are. But by the way, yeah, if y'all were wondering if Jason was right or not, yeah, there it is. There it is.
I already told you what the situation was. Grew up in Texas and I moved around a lot.
Yes, sir, but your mother and your mother and your grandmother and your mother and your grandfather didn't.
I don't know the point that you're making, but either way,
y'all hear that? I don't know what the point
I think maybe this is the better question. Do you think going forward, because even I'm not too sure if you know about this channel.
Okay, sir, you're tether babbling right now. And the bottom line here is we've made a distinction between ourselves, sir. We've made a distinction between ourselves. We are not lumping ourselves in with America at large. Now, that's been said to you that has been stated to you clearly several times. We have clearly distinguished ourselves.
I already said that.
The Boston Celtics fans are not distinguishing themselves. They're saying we're all one group. And we are not.
You think the average black Celtics fan is aligning themselves with also the white supremacist thing that you're talking about, or do you think they just like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown? Because I think if you ask,
because you can celebrate the players. You can celebrate the players without having to celebrate the jersey, sir. So no, that's not the case.
I guess we would have to go to Boston and ask, because I
don't have to go anywhere and ask anything. He's playing dumb now. I don't have to ask anything. You're standing in that arena with those other people, and that's the only thing you can do there. You're not distinguishing yourself from them.
But that's what I'm saying in regards to America. You can stand in America. You can live in America and not necessarily advocate for everything in America. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Just because you live somewhere or you go to a certain event or a certain
but sir, no, that's not true. No, sir, I'll say this to you again, and if you play dumb, I'm gonna just move on because you're not that dense. When you go to a basket, sir, you'll be quiet while the host is talking. You will be quiet. When you go to a basketball game, the only thing on the agenda is the basketball game. You don't get to have Jalen Rose by yourself. You don't get to have Brown or Tatum by themselves. You came there for the Celtics. And if you see that you are sitting up here celebrating the Celtics team, and those people you named are just employees of the team, well, you're there talking about, well, I'm distinguishing myself because I'm not focused on the team. I'm focused on a couple of players on the team. That's not the way that works. By the way, tethers can tend to be nasty bastards
60
sometimes.
seconds.
Did this nigga just sit here and belch?
I don't think we should.
Did this clown just sit here and belch on my damn phone?
That was involuntary. What's it called? Excuse me. That wasn't on purpose. That was just an involuntary thing. But that's what I mean.
They not like us. I'm gonna have to get that. I'm gonna have to get a Kendrick Lamar drop for that. They not like us.
When we disassociate with the other black people that are oppressed with us. So,
sir, we do not disassociate from those who identify themselves the same as us. People who distinguish themselves, sir. If a person distinguishes them, sir, if you distinguish yourself from us, then you're over there on the other side.
10 seconds.
And it sounds like you're very, very triggered and very, very agitated about that, which means if you're even asking
Well, you
these
can't
questions,
speak for me. I will let
sir,
you know about that.
you sat here and I already had to call you out because you wouldn't be honest about your base motives before. So that's why I had to say it. You're agitated about it because, that's you.
Okay, well, let me make it clear.
You.
My base motive was I had a question about what the caller had said because I see similarities.
No, you did not have a question about what the caller said. You've called in tonight because you were trying to sit up here and troll about being foundational, and you think you found something, and what you found out was no, it fell flat on its face. That was the reason.
So
you did not have a basketball question. You didn't have a You did not have a basketball question. You did not have a basketball question. You did not call in to talk about basketball. You didn't call in to talk about racism. You didn't call in to talk about that either.
Even to the caller, you said it's deeper than basketball. What I'm describing is deeper than basketball.
Yes, sir. For the Boston Celtics fans, it is deeper than that. He's trying to associate himself with the Boston Celtics fans. We are not trying to associate ourselves with the American established order. We're doing exactly the opposite. Which is why I've said to you several times, we're distinguishing ourselves. We're distinguishing ourselves, not assimilating ourselves. He's trying to say, I'm with them, and we're saying we're over here with ourselves.
What do you? Okay, look. Well, let me ask you this.
And this will be your last question because time wasting tethering is not going to work. For sure.
Yeah, I have taken a lot of time. And,
no, you've wasted a lot of time, and this is why y'all are over there doing what y'all do, walking around in circles and getting nothing done because you all are trying to figure out how to finesse your way into a position you're not supposed to be in. So that's the reason that's going on.
I think we're more mature than that. But
sir, you're not even honest enough to fess up to where your folks are from. Stop it. Just quit, dude. You've embarrassed yourself badly enough. A smart person would quit now. A smart person would stop.
I've been forthcoming this whole phone call. I have nothing to hide, honestly. But my last question is, I know you mentioned being FBA, but I also want to know your perspective when it comes to Pan-Africanism because I think once we look at it in a broader sense, I think subjects like these, especially, and I do agree with you.
Okay, sir. Who as a group is practicing Pan-Africanism with us outside of America?
Outside of America, I know there's been
second time, sir. Who today is practicing Pan-Africanism with us outside of America?
I don't have an organization name.
Okay, name the nation that has associated itself with Pan-Africanism outside those of us in the United States.
I could be wrong, but I believe Pan-Africanism is big in Ghana. Because
no, we've already. Nkrumah. Wow, did you really just say that, sir? Ghana is sitting up here running scams right now. There's videos all over YouTube about that. Try again.
That doesn't scams doesn't mean that.
No, sir. The scam that they running is the we want to return y'all home scam. There's folks all on YouTube who made videos. They tried to expatriate to Ghana and found out, oh hell, these folks is running a damn scam over here. They don't accept us. They don't embrace us, and they're still they call them names. They got their own little nigga names for them over there. So no, sir. Ghana's not practicing Pan-Africanism. What else you got?
But I think so. Even with that, right?
We just shut that down. What else you got? Okay, it's not Ghana. What else you got?
Hold on. I think we're both. Well, this is what we need to do going forward, right? Instead of pointing the finger at them, and I think that's a discussion that we can have with those people. But instead of pointing the finger at them,
no. Why aren't you having it? No. Why aren't you having it? Why aren't you calling them up right now? Why aren't you in their Twitter spaces, their YouTube lives? Why aren't you talking to them and saying, hey, y'all are off code as hell? Where's the Pan-Africanism? Why are you not doing that?
That's what I'm saying. So
okay, sir, but you're on my phone.
Neocolonialism. Huh?
We are the only people who have ever held up or promoted Pan-Africanism. You can't name anybody else who has. Why, if you believe in Pan-Africanism, why are you not calling up your people where you come from and the rest of these folks and getting them on code with Pan-Africanism? Why is it you haven't done that?
Well, that's a mistake on my part. And I'm
okay, then you need to get off my phone and go get to it. If you really care about Pan-Africanism, then why don't you go talk to the folks who need some Pan-Africanism training? Because we don't need a damn thing. We're the only ones who've ever promoted it, and we were by ourselves, which is why we're cool on it now.
I also think it's disingenuous to think that we don't suffer from the same exploitative.
Okay, you need to, sir. You need to go teach that to them. We already got that. We're the only ones telling people that there's a white. We are the only people telling anybody that there's a white supremacist system, sir. No, they do not agree with you. They do not say we're experiencing the same thing. We're fighting white supremacy, and they are defending it.
I'm talking about as far as. So, what we have here, we might consider it the black bourgeoisie.
And this is why they do that there. They sit there talking around in circles forever and denying things and whatnot. So I just wanted y'all to see that. I said that was his last question, and that was it. Why are you not promoting Pan-Africanism? Can we not be together? Okay, well, we're the only carriers or promoters of Pan-Africanism. Nobody else was or is. Why are you not talking to all the folks who dropped the ball and never picked it up? Why are you not getting them on code about, y'all need to get some Pan-Africanism? In other words, you want us to change what we're doing so it's more favorable for you so you can continue doing what you've been doing. And by the way, once again, nothing to do with tonight's program here about basketballs. Hey, I heard some of you are foundationals over there, but aren't you just Americans? Okay, explain we're not Americans. Yeah, but I want you to be. He's talking round and round in circles. Already explained that that's not us and what you're saying is wrong. Yeah, but American. And then you get to the real point of it there. Why are you not supporting us? You need to support us. And by the way, everybody there, in case you didn't know this, well, Jason, he don't sound like he got the accent to me. You don't hear his voice the way I do on this phone. I can hear it. He's doing his best to try to conceal it, which is cowardly as hell, by the way. You need to stand on where you are, denying your heritage, denying where you come from. Dude, just go ahead and stand on it. Just go ahead and stand on it and leave it there. But by the way, you saw he at no time was he acknowledging that as, oh no, I'm one of you, and I just wanted to let you know that, why are we? You know where he messed up? Do y'all know where he messed up at? Let me tell you where he messed up at. Go back and listen to this call, and when he started talking about foundationals, you notice he said they. What? Go back and listen to this call. The reason why I really stopped him cold in his tracks is when he started talking about foundationals and what they do in the founding of the country, you notice he said they. Now, he started by saying he was one of us, or implying or inferring he's one of us, but when he kept going, he kept saying they. Why do they? Well, they always. Yeah, now a bunch of you heard that now. Now a bunch of you heard that. Yeah, you heard him say they. Now, he was playing dumb. No, I was born and raised in Dallas, Texas. And I was like, Well, that's interesting because someone who is one of us, and yet you keep saying they. In other words, that's not even a Freudian slip. It's just that was the truth coming out. Well, that's who you really are. Right there. There you are. Let me get caller from area code 857. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Jason, is that me?
Okay, this fella here sounds like he is calling from Ethiopia on a satellite phone. Try that again, dude. If you're on speaker or something, you need to take it off.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Okay, Lord. This sounds like Neil Armstrong. One small step for man, one giant leap for prepaid.
Can you hear me now?
All right, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, my name is James, calling from Boston.
Okay, James from Boston. What's on your mind?
Now, real quick. And I've been here about 25 years. I've been in Boston. It is one of the most racist states because Bill Russell, which is one of the greatest Celtics players of all time, they have a statue for him. They don't even have it in front of the TD Garden. They have it way on Indian Road, which is about 15 minutes driving, depends on traffic, to get to the TD Garden. So that's how racist they are. They give him a statue, but they put it way on the other side of town, where if you're not from here, you won't even know what to go see that statue of Bill Russell because it's not even in front of the TD Garden. That's how racist they are. I tell you, this is one of the worst or most of the racist towns in the state, in the Union of Massachusetts, pretty much. That's what I have to say.
All right. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight in the Union of Massachusetts. All right. Caller Mary code 612. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, Jason? This is AG out of Newport Beach.
All right, AG out of Newport Beach. Which one?
Newport Beach, California.
All right. What's on your mind?
I was just, I came into the broadcast a little early, later on, but I heard a little bit of the beginning. I played college in the Pac-12, and I'm just, all the schools that you play for, all the fans get drunk and be racist. And the coaches, you know, they're all white, and they're like, it's a badge of honor to take that and play. And given, you know, they're trying to throw you off, but still, it's like, damn, all the people, like you say, you go out with. The most racist team for me was Arizona, but like you go all the places and they have the same attitude, and it's like, all right, you only like, it's crazy because everyone knows, especially if you're at the games, but no one does anything.
Now let me hear something. Let me find out something here. Now, did you say you used to play for Pac-12 or you play for them now?
No, I used to play.
Okay. How long ago?
Class 2014.
Okay. So the last decade here. What did the other players on the team feel about that, or what was their sentiment when those kind of things occurred?
It was like, if you want to be in the in group, then you get down with whatever they do. If they throw piss on you, you better not frown. But if you're in the out group, and you like, you know what I mean? Like, I got morals, I got standards. Like, someone got to do something. It's not about the game anymore. Like, it like leads past the game, and like, if it was an Asian person, if they were doing that to Jeremy Lin, and making a bunch of racist marks to him, they would say something, especially with black people. But just like the attitude is just like, deal with it or you don't play.
Did the coaches ever say anything about that?
Say that again?
Did the coaches ever say anything like that, or did you all talk to them about that?
Yeah, the coaches was just like, yeah, you know, this is part of the game. Like, from a white coach to a black player. And it's like, all right, this ain't part of the game. Like, well, it is part of the game, but it's still just like, damn, like, I got to deal with this as a black person. You know what I mean? Psychological, mental, physical threats and shit. But, you know, it's America, so it is what it is, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and the real poisonous thing about that right there is, for example, if you all are, you know, college athletes and you're playing games on the road, it's not, you're young men, it's not even like you got your families around you, so you're kind of isolated out there by yourselves. And the coaches are supposed to be, quote unquote, in charge, and yet the adult in charge has created is allowing a hostile environment where people are abusing you. And he's telling you, oh, well, that's part of the game. No, it's not.
Right.
No, it's not. What you all are doing on the court is part of the game. What he's doing on the court is part of the game. Folks yelling epithets and throwing things at you, that's not a part of basketball. That's a part of assault. That's a part of harassment. That's a part of disturbing the peace. That's not a part of basket. When you all are sitting up here doing basketball practice, show me the part where folks are in the stand, where they got folks in the stands to throw things at you all. If that's just a part of the game, why is it you all don't practice for that if that's a part of the game?
Yeah, another big thing that it's just evidence when you're there, especially when you're playing at that high level. You're at any level, really, but really, especially at least for me in the Pac-12, like all the teams that we played, the whole crowd, like conservatively, the whole crowd was like 85, 90% white. You know, I would say 95% white, and there's no representation. Even if you are like in a black town, there's no representation of like people of color, black people in the crowd. Even if you did group up Mexicans, everybody in one, you know what I mean? There's a lot of white people in the crowd, and they're the ones who are really getting drunk, having a good time, but their true colors are coming out. And for a young person like me, it's just showing me how to be aware of the world at the time, how to be aware of how the people actually feel about them. Like you're saying, keep that same energy. Like, nah, fuck all that. When the game's over, excuse my language, the game's over, I still remember what you said.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing I want you young men, you know, even though you're not playing anymore, I want that to be the thing you take away from it there, is that at the end of the day, these folks are going to try to convince you that slavery was a long time ago. And the issue with that is that that's a lie. That's the issue with that. That's a lie. That's a lie. No, this is not 100 years ago. This is today. Right here, right. You're dealing with the exact same thing right here, right now, today. For no other reason than the fact you're standing there. To anybody sitting up here, these fellas not sagging their pants. They're not committing any crimes. They're not doing anything. They're just playing basketball like they're supposed to. And the criminals are the ones in the stands.
Yeah.
The threat to public safety are the ones in the stands. And I don't want you all to adopt the idea that people abusing you is okay because they're white. Because that'll be something you take with you in life, and you won't really realize why that happened. So you'll be 40, 50 years old with things like that happening, and then that becomes your psychological response. Folks do things like that, and it's like, wow. And later, see, as a man, what happens later is you feel your dignity is gone. Because you're like, I should have done something about that. It's like, when did I become this person who lets folk do things like that? Well, either your parents started that and the coach picked it up after it, and now you've been conditioned to think that that's the way you respond to white supremacy against you, that that's how you respond. And it's not. That's not the way you respond to white supremacy being committed against you. But recognize who the people are trying to condition you to think it is. Oh, well, this will do your college career, this, that, and the other. And they better watch out, because y'all might show up one night and discover something bigger than basketball on their ass.
It kind of reminds me of, though, like when they like I played at Oregon State. We had a terrible team. It was the first time I've ever been on a losing team. But like, I just remember we had players to win the national championship. For someone to hear that, they'd be like, oh no, that's bullshit. But they're not playing the best players. They're playing the most submissive players that are listening and getting down with the agenda. But I play football. But if it was basketball, they had a lot of real niggas in there, like Ron Artest. You're not just gonna be throwing shit and making death threats when you're in arm's reach, you know.
Well, I mean, look, if you did, like I said, you're gonna be the guy they bench. I don't care if you got the best stats or anything. Nobody will ever know. I mean, that's why I was explaining to people who don't understand how college sports works. And there's a lot of people who watch college sports who clearly don't know how it works. If you're a, quote, troublemaker, it's like you won't be able to argue for the best stats because they're going to bench your ass. So you may have been a standout player coming out of high school. You might have one little old good year when you get started. And then next thing you know, Nick Saban is benching you. They're putting you on the team in positions. They're running plays that don't give you the ball. So you're out, even if you're out there on the field, you know, as an athlete, even if you're out there on the field, if they start running certain plays and whatnot, you're just another body on the field. Your numbers ain't going nowhere because the play they're running doesn't really involve you getting the ball. So you're not going to get a chance to up your stats. Next thing you know, your third season there, your third year in school, now everybody's talking about your stats ain't no good. Now you having to get out here like Marshawn Lynch and say they won't give me the damn ball. They won't give me the damn ball.
Yeah.
I'm sitting over here and they ain't give me the ball. So if you all want to know why it is that so many athletes get upset about that kind of thing, for those of you who don't know, a lot of these athletes, the reason they get upset is because they understand, hey, that's what you're trying to do. Next thing you know, your numbers are going to go down and they're going to claim, okay, we need to pay you less next season. Or trade you or cut you from the team. Yeah, because you wouldn't give me the damn ball. I got a contract that says I need to make XYZ number of points and you ain't giving me the ball, so no wonder I can't make any points. And then you're going to claim I wasn't performing. And all that people will remember are the stats. In 2 or 3 years, they'll just remember the stats and go, oh, his numbers went down. So if you're not like Marshawn Lynch and you don't just raise hell about what they doing to you, they're going to do it anyway, but at least now people know what the truth was. Nobody thinks that Marshawn's numbers were a result of him. He said and said, hey, they didn't give me the ball. And Russell was in on it. Russell Wilson was in on it. Right. At least now the historical record doesn't blame him for it. But that's about as far as you're going to get.
Right. Hey, I'm gonna land my plane here, but hey, this is off topic. But when I was at Oregon State, I had one of my best friends. He led me through the right ropes and all that, but he ended up getting the head coach's daughter pregnant. He was a running back. We went to the Civil War, which is like the oldest rivalry when we played Oregon. We got popped. He was the only one who scored like 2 touchdowns. The next year, he came back and they switched the position to a corner. He's never played corner in his life. And that's how it ended for him.
You gonna learn today.
You gonna learn today.
All right, that's the end of your little damn career. That's the end for you. Yes, sir. I hope gripping old girl was good for you because that's the end of the road. Yes, sir. Watch us end your career without ever putting you on a bench. You don't think they can end your whole damn career without ever putting you on a bench? You just standing out there on the damn field, don't know what you're doing. How can he play football all this time and doesn't know what he's doing? He's in a cornerback. Shut up and play! Wow, you suck. We don't know what you're doing. He doesn't know what he's doing. Okay. And then it becomes that. Call Miracle 704. You're on live with the Black Channel. What's your name? Where you calling from?
What's going on? This is Joe.
Okay. His call dropped. So I don't know what happened there. I didn't hang up on him. He said something there and his call dropped. So I hope Bin Laden didn't get him. Did a nice program here because I wanted to give us a refresher on this. I wanted to give us a refresher on exactly where we stand and exactly where we're at here, folks. It's not a game. It's not a joke. This is the psychology of it. And that picture on your screen right there, do you understand that that is the lifetime dream for a whole bunch of Negroes out there? That's the lifetime dream for them. But man, you're on hostile ground. You're on hostile ground with a bunch of people smiling in your face. You're on hostile ground with a bunch of folks smiling in your face. Do you know how many Negroes are deceived with what you see on that screen right there? So many of them would be deceived by what they see. Completely deceived by it. They would see all these folk out here cheering for them and whatnot, and they would say, well, they ain't all bads. And it would become that. And totally disregarding everything else. You heard some phone calls tonight. They're letting you know, by the way, there might be something bigger than that for them too. Keep this in mind because many of you have children. Many of you have children. Many of you have high schoolers. Many of you have college students here. And even though the payment situation may be changing, what I want you to understand is that's why I brought up with that young man I just talked to here. Imagine his parents thinking that, okay, he's off playing basketball or football and the coach got him and whatnot, and take a look at what's happening. You'll be sitting there thinking, okay, the coach is going to take care of my kids, and take a look at what the coaches are telling them. And by the way, do you think that situation is going to get better if they start paying them? Do you think that allowing that abuse is going to get better? Hell, look what they're doing to these folks, the guys in the pros. Do you think that if they start paying your kids, that they're going to tell these young men and women that, oh yeah, them folks shouldn't treat you like that, or we're going to take care of that? Or do you think they're going to tell them, hell, you getting paid more than the folks who show up for the game? You should really be happy just to be here now. You think they're going to ease up on that? Let me tell y'all right now, if they start paying players in college sports, and they're going to have to start doing that now, especially if the coaches see their money start to dip, if the schools or whatever start telling the coaches that their money's starting to dip, and then they see your sons and daughters getting paid, you think they're going to tell your sons and daughters that this is unreasonable for them to be out there getting called nigga like that? Or do you think they're going to really be like, oh, well, suck it up? What do you think's going to happen under those circumstances? You can see Nick Saban, boy, he was ready to say it right there. So recognize what you're dealing with. Recognize what you're up against and what they are up against here. I'm not saying that you can't play professional basketball. What I am saying is that our attitudes and the ways about professional basketball need to change. Our attitudes about that need to change. If these other folks don't see it as just a game, then damn it, we better stop treating it like it's just a game. How in the hell are you walking into a war zone and then folks are sitting up here calling from Texas talking about, well, you foundational folks here. I mean, just basketball. You're walking into a damn war zone. The folks around you are like, we are at war with you, complete with physical violence and personal assault. We're at war with you, and you talking about it's just a basketball game? Really? Really? They calling you nigga, throwing beers, throwing things at you in the crowd, and you talking about it's just a game. Okay. All right. You can tell yourself that. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, but going into Juneteenth here, I feel like I need to represent heavy, so we're going to go ahead and do that as well. Click that red subscribe button, click that yellow notification bell, join us each and every time that we are here. If you haven't been to our website, blackchannelfilms.com, you want to go and check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work, 7 a.m., Gentrified Race War, and for our newest documentary film, 8 a.m., coming up. The link to our crowdfunding is in the description of the video as well as in the chat room itself. I definitely want to see your name and your number alongside the rest of us for what we're doing here. This is going to be a historic, monumental event. We're going to be dealing with sports in detail, as you've seen. We're dealing with luminaries. It's an all-star lineup coming directly from the people who have numbers on the board, who've been in the trenches with it, getting the questions asked as only Jason Black can or will ask them. So this is your opportunity to be a part of this historic once-in-a-lifetime effort. So make sure you click on that link as well. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program, live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. Thank you to everyone who has contributed to support tonight's program. And this concludes this broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, Black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.